Hello, my name is Marcus. I'm the compiler of a collection of therapy quotes entitled 1001 Windmills of the Mind, a collection of quotes taken from what's often called the psychodynamic or the psychoanalytic perspective, which long ago, as I understand it, was referred to by some as philosophical medicine, because this perspective seeks to or aims to help anyone get to know themselves more deeply, more fully, to accept aspects of themselves that they had to sacrifice in order to have an attachment with their mothers in the cases where the mothers could only offer what's called an insecure attachment style with her child for whatever reason. If the child doesn't get a secure attachment, he sacrifices his golden ball, his vitality, his aliveness of feelings, his sense of being embodied, those memories around that and the effects of it, the metaphor is, or the understanding is, or the concept is that this experience gets recorded in a part of the brain called the implicit memory system, or the non-reporting brain. The non-reporting brain, our unconscious. So when our brain sends us information and we get it, that's our consciousness, our mind, our awareness. Now our brain would like to send us more about ourselves, but if it can't, that's the non-reporting brain or the unconscious. So the images in mythology is that the earth opens up and the innocence gets zooped down into the underworld. So the underworld is a metaphor for the non-reporting brain. The zooping action, that's the force of repression. It's a defense mechanism. If it's too painful for the child to have his feelings, it gets zooped down into the non-reporting brain or the underworld or the unconscious, like that. So in the myth, Miss Core was on the field, the earth opened up, and she got pulled down, yanked down into the underworld. That's a symbol for repression. In the Disney movie Inside Out, same thing. The character's joy and sadness, representing a person's feelings, gets zooped into the other world. So this zooping action, that's the force of repression. Repression is a defense mechanism. When the person can't feel something, defense mechanisms kick in. The main one is repression. It gets put into the non-reporting brain called the unconscious. Robert Bly describes it as a bag that we drag behind us. So when something goes into the bag, it gets repressed. And then we spend the rest of our lives trying to get it back. That's the therapy journey, to get back what we lost. The baby temporarily was desperate to have some kind of bond with his mother. He didn't want to lose so much, but if the mother's saying, well, look baby, you're here to meet my needs. Whoa, whoop, okay, his golden ball gets repressed. Or the mother says, well, fine, I'll sort of accept you, but don't expect emotional feeding. I'll feed you and keep you going, but don't expect emotional. Okay, whoop, it goes in. The baby has emotional needs, not just physical needs. Yes, he got his biological birth, but for his emotional, psychological birth, he needs to be psychologically fed, emotionally fed. So the first phase is called the stage of undifferentiation, or the stage of merging, fusion, symbiosis, mother-infant dual unity. It's like an extended womb. Humans come out too early, they need an extended womb, a social womb. So that social womb is for the first 4 to 5 months. It's called the egg. So the child needs, it's often called the maternal holding environment. So it's not just about the safety and the warmth and the continuity and the trust is preserved. It's about the reverie. When the baby is nursing, the nerves in the child link in with the nerves in the breast, and there's a nerve line there. This allows the mother to allow her presence to be registered by the child, and for the child and the mother to be present to each other. So there's a kind of reverie there. So the mother's consideration, her thoughtfulness, her mindfulness about her baby's presence, her feeling that the baby's there and she accepts the baby, that's called reverie. And the child feels seen by that, he feels loved by that, he feels accepted by that. He's developing so he's being emotionally fed by the reverie. So the line has to be there. It's also called attunement. The mother's attuned to the baby's needs. Okay? So whatever the baby needs, the mother supplies it automatically. just like the mother supplied it automatically in the actual uterus, in the extended metaphorical second uterus, outer, they call it like a social womb. The mother meets the baby's needs automatically, unconditionally. If the baby's distressed, just like how the placenta metabolized the baby's waste elimination, the mother's going to metaphorically metabolize whatever distress the baby has. And just like the placenta sent down oxygen, nutrients, love, food, and so on, the breast mother is going to send down warmth, acceptance, love, unconditional food, right? So the baby can send out all of the quote-unquote bad and receive all of the good kind of thing. He can have his cake and eat it too. He can, right? So again, in the womb, there's three lines, three veins in the cord, umbilical cord, right? And so the child sends up the waste, the mother takes care of it, no problem. The mother sends down all of the good, all of the love. Okay? So likewise, in the extended womb, the mother's meant to continue. Now that continuation of that womb life experience, that's the line there. So we've been using the song called I've Got a Line on You by the rock band Spirit. I just adapted the line there and said, so the mother says to the baby, welcome baby. Baby lashes on, I've got a line with you. Baby says, and I've got a line with you. They got a line with each other. So now the reverie and so the continuity, so she can be attuned and all this. So this is a main area about the extended womb. The first 4 to 5 months, the baby needs this line, this reverie, this maternal feelings, maternal presence. The child feels seen, accepted, sort of in a nonverbal way, I guess, mainly. Now, when the baby hatches out, beginning at 4 to 5 months, he starts to hatch out toward his psychological birth. So to reach his psychological birth, roughly at around the age of 3, he needs the psychological egg, this social womb. If he doesn't get this social womb, he can't get his egg. I mean, if he doesn't have the egg, he can't get his psychological birth. Now, so we've talked about the various personality patterns that center around a fixation or arrested development or stunted development, where the child never enters into that egg. The Iago pattern, filled with envy, the bully pattern, aggressive and wants to force others to latch with them, in some other patterns. So we talked about some of the difficult personality patterns that develop centered around that fixation point of arrested development. Now, we're not talking about cognitive. The person can still have PhDs on the wall. He still chronologically grows, biologically grows, and intellectually can develop. We're talking about this moral, this attitudes about his emotions, his opinions about himself, his opinions about his mother, his feelings about himself, his feelings of this kind of feeling, emotional attitude, this kind of inner world, right? We live in two worlds. So this is called the ontological, existential area, right? This, or spiritual self, psychological self, ontological self. So if there's a frozen there, if there's a freezing that takes place within the first 4 to 5 months, that means the child doesn't hatch out. So that, okay? So there's a thing called repetition compulsion. Hold on a second. Luckily at the moment, my favorite spot is available. Check this out. So once in a while, it's nice and quiet here. It just occurred to me, why don't I just get like a little stand here so I can hold the camera? I keep holding it all the time. So we talked a lot about the idea that if the child doesn't get his needs met, that's called a strain trauma, a developmental trauma, interpersonal trauma, a relational trauma. And when there's trauma, that's pain. Okay? When there's trauma, there's a thing called repetition compulsion, to replay and reenact what happened, see if they can get out of that pain, to change the past event so that they're not in pain. Okay? Amy Baer says, we repeat the childhood experiences in into the present. We replay them in the present because of the pain we're feeling. So it's painful to not enter into the egg with the mother. Now this is unconscious memories. This is unconscious pain. Goes in the body, I guess. But the memory's there. And so repetition compulsion is this wish that if we replay what happened, can we change the past, undo the past, get a better past, have the needed past, have a past where if something in the present is loving, can it translate into the needed love that we needed in the past? It doesn't work because there is time. Now the unconscious doesn't understand time. It's timeless in there. So trauma there is called infinite mourning, timeless mourning, no time. So they're just constantly spinning things around it again and again. And every new situation, they're going to replay it. What are they replaying? They're going to replay the interaction that caused the trauma. The interaction was the mother shamed the baby. Okay? So how does a person replay that in the present? Well, they'll just goad others to not like them, or choose people whom they anticipate will not like them. That's to reenact how the mother didn't like them from the baby's point of view. Or a more painful version is the baby identifies with the aggressor. That's a more severe case. If he identifies with the aggressor, he really is very far removed from himself if he doesn't hold on to any concept of his original self. If he identifies with the aggressor, now he's going to act like the aggressor. So how does he reenact that? Well, he'll do to others what the mother did to him. So he'll shame others to reenact how the mother shamed him. And he's stuck like that. Now both are dysfunctional. Both are maladaptive. Both are lead to an unlived life, the provisional life, feeling that life is on hold, like that woolly mammoth frozen in that block of ice up in Siberia. He feels stuck like that. So we may emotionally feel stuck like that. Now we can replay and repeat, and we still feel stuck. It doesn't work. You see? So it's bad enough for the person to choose others or goad others to not like them, to replay how the mother didn't like them. That's bad enough. But he still has some sense of himself because he's still feeling the pain that he felt originally. But with more severe trauma, he doesn't want to feel that at all. So he sees his shamed self onto others and says they're no good. He identifies with the aggressor, shames others to reenact what the mother shamed him. Him now seen onto others, then he shames others to imitate the mother, to show what the mother, to replay what the mother did to them. That's a much more painful, it's called an adhesive identification. Stuck in the tarpon of a negative symbiosis with the mother. Okay? It's called identification with the aggressor. Now that's a much more severe case of trauma when the person has become a caricature of their mother. And the mindset is, I'm okay, you're not okay. Now when they say you're not okay, they're talking about themselves seen onto others. Okay, their shame self is repressed in the bag, it gets projected. So because there's this constant innate drive for healing, we see what we don't know about ourselves by thinking it belongs to someone else, creating a mirror to see what's within. So if we feel unloved and shamed, we say others are no good. Now, the baby must perceive the mother as all good, even if he has to hallucinate her as being all good, and he'll identify with that, and he'll say, well, now I'm good. Now, the mother doing this, of course, is very hurtful, but he can't accept that side of the mother, so he represses that and denies that. That's called splitting. Another major defense mechanism. So first there's repression, next is splitting. So the baby relating to a shaming mother, he can't accept that, so he denies it, makes up a goddess mother. Oh, that's my mother. So in effect creates two mothers, and they're separate. And that's not real, because the mother is one person who's loving and frustrating, but the child can't handle that ambivalence. The child can't deal with the idea that he loves his mother and his mother loves him. but sometimes the mother's hurting him, and he's confused. Wait a minute, he can't handle this ambivalence, and he's supposed to be angry at the one he loves? He can't do it. It's got to be either or. He's too small to handle complexity or ambivalence, or see the two sides of the situation, see the reality that people are more complex. So he denies that the mother's shaming. Can't see any goodness in her, so he just denies, says she's all bad, and hallucinates an all good one. One theory is maybe he selects out the positive traits and amps those up. But either way, it's called splitting. In mythology, it's goddess and demon, seen as two separate characters. But no, the mother's one person who has two sides. So myths and fairy tales describe trauma, actually. So we mentioned one already with the zooping down. That's called repression. And the goddess and demon in the myth or story, that's called the splitting mechanism. So the baby thinks in pictures, it's imaginal. Now, the reason the baby doesn't just say bad breast, good breast, and it's more like a monster and a goddess, the reason things are exaggerated, because first, the baby's enraged at the breast. Now, when the baby's need doesn't get met, it turns into insatiable, devouring greed. Need turns into greed. Okay? So if the baby's needs don't get met, he's desperate, he's angry, he wants to gobble in and devour, he wants to take it all in. Maybe the fantasy is maybe he just wants to control the breast and have it all his and take it all in kind of thing. So there's that devouring quality greed. Okay? Now he's enraged in the process and he wants to take in. Now he can't conceive of that. It's too much excitation for a system, so that gets repressed. When something's repressed, it's projected. Now, he's projecting onto some blurred image of the breast. So I'm experimenting with the idea, let's imagine the baby being like an artist. Let's give him a little paintbrush and some paints and give him a painter's hat and the palette, what is it called, a palette or something. So the baby's now an artist. So the baby has a canvas, let's call that the breast, and he's going to say, okay, my rage, my greed to devour in, I'm going to put it onto the canvas and create a mother image or an entity image that's enraged and wants to devour me in. That's so he's projecting it out so he doesn't feel that it's within. Now ironically, he's creating a mirror to see what's within. But he can't shrink himself yet. He can't analyze himself. He's just going to do it and not realize that he's painting a picture of how he feels. Emotion, paintings often show our emotions. So his emotion is rage. The breast mother's enraged. He wants to devour and greedy to take it. No, the angry monster image now, the Cyclops wants to eat the people. So the witch won't eat me. These kinds of things. Hansel and Gretel, the witch wants to eat the children. You see. So we talked about repression, the splitting. Now, the exaggeration that the bad breast is a devouring monster that wants to eat the child, that's called projection. Okay? Now, him now thinking that his mother is so dangerous and hurtful, okay, that's code for he can't accept his rage and wishes to take in. He projected onto the monster and says they're enraged and they want to take me in. That's called the paranoid part of what Melanie Klein calls the paranoid schizoid position, or mode of experiencing, mode of operating. All babies temporarily in the first few weeks or months, the theory is, enter into the earliest phase called the paranoid schizoid position. The paranoid part is his rage and anger and desperation to bite. He wants to bite and take in and devour it. He can't accept it. He says the mother wants to bite and devour him. Now she's a frightening, dangerous animal or a witch monster or the boar queen or the guy with the horns. It could be any scary entity that's enraged and wants to eat the people. So each person could create their own devouring monster that wants to eat them. If every person took a sheet of paper and just by themselves created some character, animal, half human, half animal, all fantastical, and that it's enraged and it wants to eat him, everyone can draw something like that. So traditionally it's the guy with the horns. Right? In every fairy tale they have a unique one, so that it can be painted endlessly. So that's the paranoid part. So we can see this later on when people have exaggerated, oh, they're threatening or they're dangerous. They're talking about how that image they created, they projected onto others. So that's a mirror to see that when they were a baby, what kind of painting they drew. See? Now the splitting part, that's the unreality that the mother's two. That's called the schizoid part. Okay. And then the idealization, the devaluation, that's a part of it as well. So all of that is called the paranoid schizoid mode of experiencing. Hold on a sec, maybe I can make an adjustment here. Hold on a sec. How's that? I'm trying to make myself a little comfortable, to tell you the truth. Okay, hold on a sec. How's that? Does that work? Okay, that's a little better, yeah. It's a work in progress, making my videos more smooth and more enjoyable. Very imperfect. See, the splitting mechanism, if that doesn't get resolved, that goddess and demon imagery, later on you can see it in prejudice. We good, they bad, or all or nothing, either or, perfect or forget it, all or nothing. So if someone's watching this video, well, this guy is not perfect, forget it. You know, that's the splitting mechanism. So ambivalence means you sort of can hold the two sides. It's going to vary for each person, their tolerance, I guess. I gotta believe myself that there's value in. The quotes are definitely strong. My delivery, it's mixed. I think my delivery is sometimes helpful, but my anxiety around the delivery makes it not so helpful. So I noticed the ambivalence in it myself. But, what's next? The last video wasn't too bad. No views. If you check out the last video, I did provide an overview of 1001 Windmills of the Mind at the beginning, at the first sort of hour and a half of it. Some recent excellent material that's been covered is TQ 2435-9 on falling in love. That's an excellent one. 7 videos on greed. So roughly 71 to 89, I think, or 70. It ends in 89. If you go to the video marked TQ2489, that video, plus the 6 videos prior to it, those 7 videos are all on greed. That's an excellent set. And we did a follow-up on it, 2499 on the plunder system in relation to it, and another follow-up on it, 2500 on the waste part, the pollution, the climate change. And in the last video there was also another tag on 2360 on how to make an I statement, 2119 on repetition compulsion. It's all over the place. We've got great material all over the place. Okay, so back to the paranoid schizoid position. If that's not resolved, if that doesn't move into the depressive position, the child is meant to move into the depressive position, meaning at around 4 to 5 months, the child goes, okay, I think I know the reality here. The reality is, my mother's not a goddess or a demon. She's actually a human who's sometimes loving and sometimes frustrating. Okay, this is complicated. I'm kind of sad about this, hence the depressive quality. Doesn't mean depression. You just feel a little sad about no longer having the blissful state before. So you're starting to differentiate, right? Because in the paranoid schizoid mode, you're in the blissful state, right? You think you're united with the goddess. You're still one with the mother. Okay, so roughly 4 to 5 months, the baby can hatch. He can only hatch if he enters into the egg. Now, this egg means that the child is able to resolve splitting. He's able to have this splitting mechanism be resolved, come to an end kind of thing. It's just meant to be very brief and very temporary for the first few weeks. Okay? It's a desperate emergency maneuver. It's archaic, it's so-called primitive. The most infantile, the most desperate, painful thing a baby has to do is to trick himself to, like that guy in the desert, that thirsty guy in the desert who hallucinates an oasis to try to stay alive. So the baby's doing something similar. He's going to hallucinate that the breast mother is a goddess breast. So that's not real, but he's trying to stay alive. Now, if that's frozen in his template, and although he may physically stay alive, emotionally, see, that's a different story. He's frozen the rest of development. A lot of dramatic phrases for that, which we don't need to use, but Leonard Shengold has a dramatic phrase around it. Alice Miller as well, Lloyd Demas, a lot of people. Okay, so let's say the baby does enter into the depressive position. Now he's beginning to hatch out of the egg. Now the role of the mother shifts. She's no longer just there to be an extended womb. Now she's a little more active. Now the child is getting a sense of I, not I, me, not me. I'm a person, mother's a person. Now he's getting the sense that he's not a god. Now, oh, he's a person. He's entering out of that unico mystica feeling. It's just all him. He's a god. He's this blissed out state. In the womb, he thinks he's a little god kind. He's the universe. Everything is just him. Everything serves him. Everything's there for him. The placenta even the breast is just there for him, serving him. But now when he hatches out, now he begins the psychological birth. His psychological birth begins roughly 4 to 5 months. As early as 3 months, maybe as late as 7 months, but the range, Margaret Muller says 4 to 5 months on average. And some mothers report they have this sense, I feel it, I feel that the child is starting to hatch out of this oneness with me, and they're being themselves now. Whoa, and there's a huge delight in this, So now, as the baby's hatching, the theory is he's going to value himself, he's going to esteem himself the way the mother esteems him. If the mother sees the child with acceptance for his mystery, for his uniqueness, the child can see himself for his uniqueness and his mystery. If the mother hears the child, because of the fusion, it's still there, it's just beginning to get resolved, the child can hear himself. If the mother feels the child can feel himself. Okay. So what the mother does, the child can then do for himself, because the wiring is being laid down. The neural networking in the brain is being laid down. The baby's brain is malleable, it's expanding quickly in the first year. The wiring that gets laid down is in reference to the interaction with the mother. So what's soothing, if the mother soothes the baby, the wiring gets laid down in reference to that. Later, the baby can soothe himself. He can regulate his emotions himself, you see. If that doesn't take place, later on, he'll goad others to feel for him. He'll be provocative. It's called projective identification. Okay. So in normal development, the child feels something, the mother gets it, she responds, the baby is soothed by her response. If that doesn't take place because she's using the bottle or something or doesn't get it, then later on, repetition compulsion, they're going to fantasize that others are supposed to be the needed witnessing breast that was meant to be in the past. So they're going to goad others to feel what they're feeling. But the cycle can't complete. Even if later on they goad others to feel what they're feeling, the receiver can't say, oh, okay, this person is feeling distressed and they're goading me or inducing me or pushing my buttons or trying to get me to feel what they're feeling. Oh, I see. They're trying to communicate that when they were a baby, the mother didn't soothe them and they want me to soothe them. Okay, well, maybe what I'll do is, what I can do is I'll invent a time machine, and I'll go in the time machine, take the person in the time machine with me, we'll travel back into the nursery, I'll morph into the needed good breast that he needs, he'll morph back into my arms, I'll soothe him, he'll get the wiring laid down, okay, so then we'll hop back in the machine, come back into the present, I'll be me, and they'll be who they were meant to be had they been loved, and they'll be calm, and then they don't need to go to others. That's not going to happen. There are no time machines. No one can do that. So it's repetition compulsion. It fails. So later on, they're going to go to, now they become dependent on it. They're going to go to others to feel what they can't feel. Now, it doesn't work. They're going to do it again and again, and like it's timeless. They're going to do it infinite mourning. It's timeless, so that they always need others to soothe them. It doesn't work. But there is a secondary gain by what they're doing, because if they go to others to feel what they can't feel, then others are expressing what they can't feel. Then their mind is distracted. Then they don't have to feel it within. So they maintain the repression. So they're very interested in getting others to express and feel what they can't feel. So that maintains the repression. Now them doing it, they may get some schadenfreude, they get some relief by this. So they get some satisfaction in seeing others angry or upset or anxious or sad or whatever it is, right? And plus them doing it makes them, it fuels the idea that it's all about them, that they create everything, so they created it, you see. So they get a lot of secondary gain, like going around goading others to feel. I don't know if I should mention this. Okay, this next, okay, I'll just mention it briefly here. It was a huge question mark. I mean no offense to anybody by this. I hope no one takes it the wrong way. I got a feeling somebody will, so let's scrap that. Okay, let me give it some more thought. I have a very provocative idea, but I'm a little hesitant. Let's see, maybe at the end of the video, I don't know. I try not to comment on current events, what's in the news. On a rare occasion, I do make a comment, but it's not really our purpose here. The purpose here is to learn this second language. The psychoanalytic perspective is like a second language. Inside out, heal the person, the outside will be healed. So we want to heal the people. When we have healed people, we do things normally. If people are so traumatized, they engage in what's called the manic defenses. Because they can't grieve, they can't mourn, they can't feel, they don't want to look within, they don't want to accept how they were unloved or how they were improperly loved. So they engage in manic defenses, like the greed and the envy and the grandiosity and the goading others, projective identification, the schadenfreude, spite, vindictiveness, greed, envy, pyrrhic victories. So it's all outer focused as a defense against painful memories. One of the painful memories is they didn't get the love to enter into the egg. They didn't get the paradise. The baby can't have paradise lost at birth. The baby needs an extended paradise. The baby needs an extended paradise for the first 4 to 5 months. So if that's not met, the main emotions are hate, greed, envy, spite, vindictiveness, schadenfreude, the grandiosity, ingratitude, of course, entitlement, narcissism, the bully pattern, the ego patterns, a lot of manic defenses. Because inner life means we go through life experiencing losses. The psychic structure needed to mourn losses was called differentiation. If the child never differentiated from his mother, he doesn't have the psychic structure or the floor to stand on, the foundation of his identity, his own soil or something, he doesn't have that kind of inwardness to allow his feelings. He doesn't have that. He's identified with the aggressor. He doesn't have it because he lost himself. Where is he? It's seen onto others. So he's got to own his vulnerability, his wounded self. That's painful to do. It takes a lot of effort and courage. It takes a lot of it takes enough awareness. I think it takes awareness to do so. Hold on a sec. Okay. I guess this will be yesterday's. Yeah, the last video was okay. Today's gonna be maybe. Let's see if I can pick up. You know, the last video I started off. It was rocky. I started off in a rocky way, but it picked up. It was a good video actually in the end. So for more about the manic defenses, TQ 2476 and 7. Okay, repetition compulsion. If they didn't get the positive maternal experience, it turns into greed. So the earth, everything out is symbolic breast. They want to gobble it in. Anything seen as symbolic goodness, of course, money, material things, it's good, right? So they want to gobble it in. It's insatiable because the person is in a state of timeless mourning. It's timeless. You're spinning it around. No thing they buy or gobble up or take or whatever can be the needed breast that was needed in the nursery. It can't happen. But in repetition compulsion, the compulsion is, the fantasy is, the thing they buy, let's say, the extra car they buy, we're talking about they don't need it, something you don't need. You have this compulsion, you gotta have it. Okay, it's an emotional thing. So you, unconsciously you think, that might be the needed breast that I needed in the past. Will it be? Oh no, it wasn't. I'll try another one. And you do it again and again. And the temptation is every time you do get something, you get a blip of serotonin. Anytime we get something that makes us feel safe, in general, we get serotonin. So the thing you buy, it's an asset, you're richer, you get serotonin. But it doesn't change psychic structure. It's not the serotonin from having been loved. It's not the serotonin from the wiring that's laid down based on the human interaction. You're not getting the serotonin that way. You're getting it through the trickery of the momentary status thing you get. So the greed is, so they're going to keep on doing it because it doesn't change psychic structure. Now remember, the babies wanted to gobble in the breast. Need turns into greed. So outwardly, people want to gobble in the earth. They want to own everything, control everything, possess everything. So we see greed very much, but it's not enough. Greed is not enough. Greed never works. So how does the person really feel? How do they really feel? The baby doesn't want to see goodness. In many cases, greed doesn't work because the truth is they don't want to see goodness. Even though they have the compulsion to gobble in the goodness, they don't want to see goodness, at least outwardly. Right? And what they gobble in, they don't accept it. We got some people here. Okay, I don't ever want to get anyone in the camera, but if you see me doing this, it's because I'm trying to avoid. Hold on a second. Let's see. Okay, pass it. Okay. I don't ever want. Sometimes, on occasion, someone will pass by, kind of thing. Actually, it's a breezy day. That's good. It's not so hot today. Yeah. Okay, about a month ago, a famous short seller went on TV or on camera, and he told the world, "Look, guys, I'm 90 something years old. I've got billions of dollars. I'm still doing it. It's not about greed. It's about envy." Okay. The baby needed goodness. It was so painful. He doesn't want to be reminded of goodness. He doesn't want to trust again. He doesn't want to trust again. Now the greed is the compulsion. That's sort of automatic. The organism's trying to heal. So the greed is that effort to still look for the good breast. But the deeper feeling is they don't want to see goodness. Now greed does destroy. Greed is destructive. Right? The envy likes that. That's the envy is the driver of it. So we may say that greed is the Trojan horse for envy. So for more on that, yeah, the past several videos we talked about it, 2499 in particular, and I did a recap of it in some of the other videos between that one and now. So it's called Grenvy, greed and envy. And he literally said it, the world is driven by envy, the plunder system. Another facet to it is the baby can't tell the difference between the breast and his experience of the breast. If his experience of the breast is envy, then the breast, meaning the connection to the mother, is envy. So to have the connection to the mother, he's got to be envious. So he'll be greedy and envious, and that's his connection to the mother. So yes, they're all mama boys. Anyone engaged in short selling is a mama boy. Not all mama boys engage in short selling, but all short sellers are mama boys, because that's the connection. Greed and envy is the connection to the mother. So again, all babies must attach. They want to attach to a positive nursing experience, but if the bottle was used or some bad treatment took place and they can't accept goodness anymore, then their experience is grandiosity, because they still think they're little gods, that's still there. So grandiosity. Now the entitlement they want to take in, that's still there. Okay, so the narcissism is there. The manic defense of control. Okay. The manic defense of repetition compulsion, meaning they're going to repeat what they need. So the greed is the manic defense. So the repetition compulsion is the trauma is they didn't get the love. So they want to try to get it again and again. They want to try to get it again and again through symbolic breast outwardly. So they want to gobble in and they want to bite it and control it and have it in. Now if they see something that's symbolic of goodness outside, that's anxiety provoking, because they don't want to see goodness. They want to see it damaged. Now greed is the agent of damage, so they'll be greedy to have the damage. So it's about envy. That short seller, he said something I think it's worth thinking about. He said it's all about envy. It's not about greed. It's not about greed. If it's about greed, then people would at some point say enough and enjoy their. But they're operating out of the memory that they can't see goodness. Now, if something is perceived as goodness, they want to see it damaged. That's called the Iago pattern. The Iago guy spread rumors against everybody and got them against each other. And he sat back and kind of enjoyed seeing things damaged, because what he's trying to do is remove the source of envious feelings. He wants to take away the source or the trigger of envious feelings. If everything's damaged around him, and then he's not triggered of him not getting the goodness that he needed. So he feels relief by not being triggered. But if there's something good out there, it's going to trigger him, damage it. Spread a rumor against them. Do something to see it damaged. See? Interesting theory about that one. So that quote was about maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago maybe. The baby can't tell the difference between the breast and his experience of the breast. That's a very thought-provoking quote. I don't hear anyone talking about it. Okay, hold on a sec. Should we take a little stretch here? Let's take a little stretch here. There's a massive hotel complex, but a very friendly atmosphere. It's a nice place. A lot of functions take place here, weddings and all sorts of. Once there was a concert here. There was a concert that took place right there. So before I forget, for the price of a cup of tea, okay, I'll mention it at the end then. I think some of the best quotes we've presented recently are the greed quotes. 7 videos. Ending in 2489. I think it's 2470 something to 2489, something like that. So this is the issue for many people by the theory of psychoanalysis. They didn't get the maternal experience. They didn't get the paradise. So we can modify that joke. Somebody said we spent the first 9 months of life trying to get out of the womb and the rest of our lives trying to get back in. What do you mean? We can update it. We can say we spend the first, or many people, we spend the first 9 months of our lives trying to get out of the womb and the rest of our lives trying to get the extended womb that we needed. Now maybe the joke implied trying to get back in the womb because we want to redo the birth and get it right. Maybe it's too painful. Maybe it is a birth trauma joke. So let's stick with the original. We spend the first 9 months of life trying to get out of the womb and the rest of our lives trying to get back in because we want to replay the birth experience. If there's birth trauma, the theory would be how do we reenact that? How do we replay that? How do we get a happy outcome? What kind of thing can we do in the present in our fantasy that we can play out that would allow us the fantasy that we can undo the birth trauma? Lloyd DeMaz has a theory about it, so I won't repeat it here, but if you're interested on that, we have some of his quotes, very, very helpful material actually. Okay, let me just go into today's quotes then. Today's sort of a medium level, I guess. Just 2 quotes, 2408 and 9. 2408 comes from one of these introduction books to counseling and therapy, the ones they use in colleges. So it's one of the better ones, I thought. So okay, I'll take out a couple of quotes from him. And 09 is just sort of an assortment of quotes. So why don't we just get into our quotes today. Okay, I feel like I didn't really provide any kind of a closure with that introduction. So the baby needs the egg, he hatches out, doesn't take place. We repeat in the present what happened in the past with the fantasy that we can undo the past, painful past, and get a happy past. Doesn't work, we do it again and again. One repetition compulsion is the greed. Okay, the baby wanted to just receive, but later it turned into greed. So now he's going to replay the greed because the greed didn't work. The greed failed. The baby's greed failed. So he wants to be greedy outwardly. When will it be enough? When will it work? When will he feel satiated? When will he get the wiring laid down so he feels loved? No material thing can make him feel the kind of love that he needs. That love in the nursery was a one-way ticket. That was a one-time deal. That's it, you know. The healing journey is about consciousness and making new choices from the consciousness and mourning. In order to mourn, we need to forgive the parents. They didn't know it all. They couldn't do it all. They tried their best. They would have if they could have. Now, if the mother had arrested development, she's going to replay what happened to her. So she may used her own child to represent her lost childhood and replay what happened to her onto the child. So she shames the child to reenact how the mother shamed her. Repetition compulsion. So the mother, you got to go deep now to forgive the mother. She was in this compulsion to replay her trauma to get out of her trauma. You see, so each person is sort of tasked to do a psychological biography of their parents. In the last video, one clue might be, what's your mother's favorite joke, and what's your father's favorite joke? That's a clue. So for more on that, yeah, the last video about that. That may be a good starting point. You know people by their favorite jokes, right? Yeah, the last video wasn't bad. I recommend the last video. No views. But I hope someone can enjoy it. Yeah. 3-hour video. Yeah. 3 hours and 1 second. That one there. A video might say 10 views or something, but there's no watch time. It's like 0.01 of a second watch time. It's just computers. What else was it? Yeah, I'm a little distracted today, to tell you the truth. Repetition compulsion. I think the key point is this envy issue. If the trauma was so severe, even though they want the goodness, the deeper feeling is they don't want to see the goodness. That's called so that's what's so because the greed is damaging, it's fueled by so greed becomes a tool for the envy, put it that way. They don't care about the greed. It's not about the greed. Like that famous short seller said, it's not about the greed. Why would a 90-something-year-old multi-billionaire need more? What does he need more for? He just wants to see things damaged. That's the satisfaction, because that's the connection to the breast. Still, he didn't mourn losses. Okay? All of these manic defenses like greed, envy, grandiosity, it's because they can't mourn losses. They can't mourn. Right? They can't mourn the loss of the love they needed. They can't mourn who should have been there, that wasn't there. They can't mourn the absence of who should have been there. They can't mourn who they would have been had they been loved. They're not mourning this. They're not mourning all that lost time being false, being a false self with rationalizations. They're not mourning this, you see. The idea is to be aware of this. So, grief is healed when it's witnessed by a caring other. So each person does need a person to talk to. We can only do so much with the quotes and the reading. Ultimately, we need a caring witness because we feel safe with somebody. Then the feelings can come up. Then we can accept things if we feel safe in the presence. So that's called the yin and the yang of healing. So this knowledge is the yang, and the caring presence is the yin. Because if you have a caring presence, you feel safe. When you feel safe, stuff comes up, feelings come up. And we want to feel the sadness that we couldn't feel as a child and not getting the needed love. That now can come up. You see? Now, repetition compulsion, ironically, is an attempt to get those feelings. You see? So let's say the guy with the greed gets the extra thing he doesn't need. So he gets a blip of, oh, I got it, great. But he's at some level reminded of sadness that he didn't get, of how he felt when the breast wasn't there or whatever. He felt sad. So although he gets a little excited by getting the thing, underneath he feels sad. Now that moment of feeling sad, that would be the meditation. One meditation exercise is that that's aligned with yourself. Now you're saying, oh, this is what I tried to feel as a child. Now it's coming up. Now you're getting memory and feeling. You're getting your embodiment. So you want to stay with it and kind of practice mindfulness of your feelings kind of thing. So when we repeat, we're triggered of what happened. Now if we're triggered of what happened, and we don't take it up with the parents, link it that way, we may blame the person or the thing outwardly for the bad feeling that we had. So let's say the guy gets the extra car, whatever, feels sad, oh, the car's no good, blames the car. You see, it doesn't work. He should blame the mother, or at least be angry at the mother, don't be angry at the car. So a more clear example of this is in prejudice. So prejudice is also being a mama's boy, of course. Okay. Either or thinking. So the baby was shamed, he identifies with the aggressor, finds a non-threatening substitute other, sees their innocence onto them, shames them, says bad things about them, to reenact how the mother said bad things about them. As they shame others, they're reminded of how the mother treated them. Now they feel badly. Now, they're meant to know what they tried to feel as a child with the mother, but they couldn't. It got squelched. But if they're not aware of that, what they're going to do is, wait a minute, I'm feeling bad now. I just hurt that person. I just shamed that person, but I'm feeling bad. So, auto-hypnosis, hocus pocus, double focus. They identified with the aggressor. That aggressor image, they're going to put it onto the victim and say the victim is so threatening. That's what's going on. That explains why they feel bad. See, so they're blaming the victim. Right? But Morton Keeson says, take it up with your parents. 2291 and 2 for more on that one. Just type in the search engine KISSEN for more on that one. I think that placard is very good at the rally there. She said, if you have a problem with your parents, oh sorry, take it up with your identity. If you have a problem with your identity, take it up with your parents. If you have a problem with your identity, take it up with your parents. So in prejudice, you blame the other, oh, they're no good, such and such. And you're reenacting, you're trying to show and know for yourself how the mother treated you. You're treating others the way your mother treated you for you to know how your mother treated you. We reenact what happened to us with the fantasy that we can get a better past. Burglar says we're trying to show up the mother. In effect saying, you see what my mother did to me, see this negative thing I'm doing to others? Where did I learn it? My mother taught me this. Acting like her. See, world, don't you feel sorry for me or something? But that's only a part of it. Keeson says he's protecting the mother. So prejudice means you're still trying to save the mother, protect the mother. Underappreciated point. The baby in the womb thinks he's a little god. Everything is him. He needs paradise to continue. So when he's born, if the paradise is broken, he thinks everything is him. He's responsible for everything because the whole universe is him. So he wants to save the mother, which is a part of him. Fix the mother, correct the mother to get the bliss. It doesn't work. He fails. Trauma. He's gonna be loyal to the effort to still try to save the mother. The deal was he sacrificed his happiness, his true self, and he's going to stay loyal to the mother because it gives him the chance to still try to save the mother because he's still looking for the paradise. He's looking for that extended womb. So he's still trying to correct the mother, make the mother a good mother so he can get that paradise. So he doesn't leave the mother. He's got to be loyal to the mother. He can't leave the mother. The way to be loyal to the mother is to repeat the deal he makes with the mother. The deal was he gives himself up for the attachment. Now, while making that deal, of course he's angry, but his anger he won't express at the mother because that's breaking the deal. The baby doesn't express his anger at the mother. It gets repressed, it goes sideways. So he's going to express his other onto non-threatening substitute others to protect the mother because he's still trying to save the mother. So prejudice means the person's still trying to save the mother. See? ironic, right? We're talking about the memory of the mother. So it's timeless, right? These kinds of things. So these points that I've sort of very incompletely tried to cover up until now, they've been covered in more depth in the previous videos. I guess I'm having an off day today. I notice I'm making more mistakes in my speech. I think maybe I'm a little tired today. Today's a lighter video, so why don't we do this one here? So this comes from some kind of one of these college textbooks that first-year students read on how to be a counselor, how to be a therapist. But they included a little bit of psychoanalytic concepts. See, psychoanalytic concepts are all over the place. So psychoanalysis is alive in the hundreds of therapy models out there. So this one's mainly on transference. So when we repeat the past in the present, we're transferring the past in the present. That's the transfer. We transfer from the past to the present. So we distort the present, misperceive the present, misuse the present. In the present, we do some kind of staging thing of the past so that the present becomes a new replay of the past, a new edition of the past, a new enactment of the past. We're replaying the past in the present. So the present is not being enjoyed for the present. That's dysfunctional. We're not seeing the present for the present. We're just using the present to play the past. That's called transference, you see. So in a two-people relationship, okay, the person can project onto the friend. They can see their innocence onto the friend, be negative towards the friend, to reenact how the mother was negative towards him. He's still living in the past. Now he feels bad by this. Now he says the friend is no good. So, you see, he's still battling with this issue in the past. That's called transference. And there's a lot of points to it. Transference reveals the past, put it that way. So here's a few more quotes on it. Oh my God, a major threat, transference. Just in the search engine here, in this channel, within this channel, transference. You'll get at least 200 quotes on it. I think this is the best condensed collection of quotes on the topic right here. Okay, let's do this one here. Okay, as the client becomes comfortable with the counselor, a common question on transference would be, quote, toward whom else have you had these feelings you are feeling toward me? Toward whom else have you had these feelings you are feeling toward me? Okay, so to make the person aware of transference. So let's say the client, my disclaimer, I'm not a shrink, I'm not an analyst, I'm not a doula, I'm not a midwife, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm none of these things. I have a humble BA, I'm the compiler of the quotes. Okay, so the best way to learn something is to teach it. So in my sort of partial teaching of it, I'm trying to learn it. Robert Bly says, 30% of what you hear is wrong. It's up to you to figure out which 30%. Okay, so let's say the two people there, he transfers, let's say the person needed a good mother. He transfers that, he puts that image onto the therapist and says, oh, you're so amazing. Toward whom else have you had these feelings you are feeling toward me? Maybe he does it ritually. Splitting, he can flip it. Oh, you're such a terrible person. Toward whom else have you had these feelings you are feeling toward me? Because it's a pattern, right? The childhood interaction, we replay it in the therapy room. The therapist generalizes. Chances are you do that generally. Or he simply projects the boogeyman image onto the therapist and says, you're so bad. And toward whom else have you had these feelings? Or he projects his wounded self onto the therapist and says, oh, you're defective, you're flawed. And toward whom else have you had these feelings? That's just They help promote awareness of transference. Okay, next one here. A counselor generally tries to help clients understand and accept their feelings and see what they have been trying to accomplish with their attitudes. After gaining a more rational understanding, they can take their projections on the counselor back to themselves, so that, for example, they can be less dependent. The client also is helped to understand in which ways his or her former behavior was ineffective in reaching the goals of effective living. See, we feel depleted by projecting. Our self is in the bag, right? Aspects of our self is in the bag. So if you keep saying that is outward, then you're missing the fact, then you're missing the chance to know that it's within and for you to integrate and own if you keep saying it's outward. So when we say self-esteem, you need the self, so you want to get back to self. But if you keep attributing parts of yourself onto others, you're missing that is a part of you. That's what he means here. And doing this is ineffective. Okay. Don't think about clients as people who had problems. Rather, they are persons with continuing here and now problems. It's not a bad one. It's repetition compulsion. It's continuous. Edmund Berger's metaphor of repetition compulsion: every neurotic is a music enthusiast, but he only has one record. And he carries this one record with him everywhere he goes. Every time he sees a record player, he spins off that record. That traumatic script from childhood. He spins it off in every new situation. In every new situation, every time he sees a record player, he spins off that old memory. So that's a continuing here and now problem. He's still trying to change the past, heal the past, get the paradise with the mother, find the mother that should have been there. You see, it's unfinished business. He's frozen. Next one here. The next two are sort of mild interpretations here. Quote: what you are saying now about your wife appears to be very closely related to the feelings that you expressed about your mother a few weeks ago. Would you say that is a fair statement? There's transference, right? Another one here, quote: you seem to have many of the feelings toward this person that you had toward your mother several years ago under similar circumstances. Okay. All of these kinds of statements are presented as invitations. They're invitations for mutual exploration. They're not facts. They're just, it's an invitation for mutual exploration. These are tentative. These are hypotheses. We're brainstorming here, kind of thing. But maybe the therapist thinks, you talked about your mother in such a way, and I noticed you're talking about your wife in such a way. Do you notice that? What do you think? Kind of thing. Next one here, clarification. Clarification gives the client a feeling of forward movement in that it verbalizes material that the client may have felt only vaguely. It is analogous to the pacing of a young racehorse by a more mature one. The counselor goes far enough beyond the client's verbalizations to stimulate further thinking, but not so far that he or she loses the client. So the client says something vague. The therapist tries to add some details to it to make it more clear. Now it's more focused. That's called clarification. It's not an interpretation. It's not putting a spin on it. It's not reframing. It's not challenging her in any way. It's not helping him to point out something that he's not aware of. It's not a why question, or it's not a do you notice the past present links. It's more subtle. It's just more. You said this vague thing. I guess you reflect it with a little more detail to help focus it, make it more clear. So today is a nice day. Okay. There's a breeze today. Oh, there's a breeze. That's what makes it a nice day. The breeze. So you make it more clear, that kind of thing. The therapist uses transference feelings to help clients recognize what they are trying to do with the relationship. What are they trying to do with the relationship? They're trying to recreate the childhood. They're casting the therapist, putting him in a role from his childhood, casting him in a role from his childhood, assigning him somebody from his childhood. That's what he's trying to do, because he's trying to replay the child. He's trying to communicate his childhood. He's trying to relive the childhood because he thinks that he can undo his painful past if he repeats it. We repeat because we're searching for a better past, which can't be done. That's the whole thing about it. Transference can be viewed as, quote, being deficiencies, where clients manipulate present relationships. So there's the being. So that's the trauma. We lost our beingness. It's in the bag, right? We lost it. We repeat with the hope that we can get it back. If we have ourself, we enjoy the present. We repeat because we're not enjoying the present. We're still in the past. That's why we are repeating. The past means the trauma was we didn't feel safe enough to have the beingness. It got put into the bag. So we are repeating to get back our beingness. We're looking for our beingness, our ontological self, our psychological self, our feeling self, the golden ball. We're trying to get our embodiment. If you're not in your body, you're not making sense, literally, says Kristen Wilson in her speech that we played recently. Clients bring various means of manipulating their environments. Break promises, play stupid, forget, lie, etc. Client styles of manipulating others are a form of transference. So somebody who's like this, see, they're replaying the fantasy that they're interacting with the mother still. The mother punished the child for having feelings. So later on, they play dumb, they forget, they lie, they break promise, they do all these manipulations. That means transference is still going on. Not what the client has been, but what the client has been not. So one overlooked area of transference is this idea here. It's about a failure of development, a failure to move from environmental support to self-support. Environmental support, the mother, and then we have we could do for ourselves. That's psychological autonomy, individuation. The client's fantasies of expected support, which stem from his or her lack of being. So repetition compulsion is because of what we weren't. We didn't have ourselves. Not what the client has been. He didn't have himself, but what the client has not been. He wasn't himself. A failure in development. He didn't separate from the mother. Interpretation technique may tend to over-intellectualize the client's problems prematurely, thus encouraging the intellectualization defense. This happens because the client is searching for all means possible to keep feelings from awareness. Okay, so there's a thing called intellectualization. They mean it in a way where a person purposely uses ideas not to help them have feelings, not to help them link with their feelings, but the opposite. They're using ideas to get them away from the feelings. The purpose of knowledge is to connect with our souls, with ourselves. We're looking for ourselves. We have this knowledge to help us understand, get back to ourselves. But if it's the reverse, if we're using this knowledge to get us away from ourselves, that's called the defense mechanism of intellectualization. Confusing term here, but I seem to be stuck with it. Next one here. Oh yeah, this is something that the counselor asks himself when he's in trouble. Why, in this first interview, Did I talk so much instead of letting the client tell his or her story? Was it because I felt I had to impress the client with my own knowledge so he or she would return? Okay, see, he's self-reflecting, right? First, the therapist wanted to show off all of his knowledge. He wasn't listening. So he asked himself that. Another one is, why does it upset me when appointments are broken? Is it because I am really insecure and uncertain concerning my skill as a therapist? So the therapist is always analyzing himself constantly, right? The next one here. Clients with strong affection or dependency needs may project these so intensely at times that the client's perception of the counselor is grossly distorted. Yeah. So if we have a hunger for love, we may distort the reality of the person in the present and see that they're so amazing. We just make it up kind of thing. So the falling in love is a good example. You meet someone who reminds you on some level of your mother. Huh? Not too much, unconsciously. Maybe there's some trait they have, some manner they have. It's not too direct, of course, right? But there's something there. Now, we needed love from our mothers. Now, here's our mother reincarnated in the person in our fantasy. Now, the fantasy is so you fall in love. It's a regression. Okay. So the bedazzled feeling, this obsessive feeling, this love trance, this spellbound feeling, if somebody in the present reminds you of the mother, that means you're back with the mother at the breast. All babies felt bliss in the beginning, so you get that blissful feeling. So you revive some of that symbiosis, that oceanic bliss feeling. Okay? Now, you're back there, and this time, the fantasy is that the person in the present is going to be the mother that should have been there. The needed mother that should have been there. The fantasy is that now your mother, seen in the partner, is going to change her ways, give up being shaming and dysfunctional, because she wants to be a good mother. Now you think you got a second chance. Your partner is going to be the good mother that should have been there. So you're very excited and hopeful about it. Oh, you're the one. I need you. All of our romantic love songs are about this. So for more on that, TQ 2435-9. And we ended that set with the Doobie Brothers song, What a Fool Believes. That one there. So the person is so hungry for the love, they see someone who reminds them of the mother who's supposed to give them the love, and say, oh, you're the one. I love you. You're perfect. Now change. Now the other person doesn't know what you're talking about, and chances are they're doing the same thing. So these marriages become like cat and dog marriages. Very dramatic, roller coaster, ups and downs, a lot of arguing. They often rust out or become like sour milk. Unless they're conscious and make I statements. 2360 on how to make an I statement. Okay, that's it then for 08 by Brammer, Shostrom, and Abrego. Okay, next we'll do 09, an assortment of quotes here. Next, first one here. Oh, dreams. Yeah, we haven't done much on dreams. An underdeveloped thread on dreams. TTAQ. When you wake up in the morning, okay, your notepad, TTAQ. Give your dream a title. Identify the theme, TT. A, the affect. What's the main affect? And Q. What's the question are you being asked of your double self, your secret self, your second self? The trickster energy. What question are you being asked? Unfinished psychological issues can be raised during nighttime dreaming by having the dreamer create a script with anything. You see, that's the thing. Because there's no time in the unconscious, and you still want to process stuff. You can take an event from one place in one time, something you saw on TV yesterday, some conversation you had with another person in another country. You can put it all together and create a scene. You can create a script. You can take anything from anywhere at any time, condense it into a dream sequence to feel what you couldn't feel, to experience what you couldn't experience, to try to process what you couldn't process, to try to understand what you didn't understand. So that's unfinished business. So we all have unfinished psychological business. When we dream, we try to process things. People have a tendency to avoid and alienate aspects of themselves, despite their compensating need for wholeness. Watch for these aspects in your dreams. Subconsciously, we don't want to admit something about ourselves. But there's this drive for wholeness, so when we dream, those disowned traits may come up in us. I think anger is a big one. A lot of people deny that they're angry. Then they have a dream, and maybe they're scared about it, and they wake up. Maybe, see, fear and anger are linked together. See, fear and anger are very closely together. Usually, sometimes you're very afraid, then it clicks over to the anger. Now, let's say you clicked over to the anger, but you were afraid of that, of the response, and then you're afraid again. See, the fear and anger flip around like that. That's why in the Disney movie, at the console, it was mainly fear and anger. The amygdala, the stress response, flight or fight, right? And freeze is the third one, disassociation. The compulsion to repeat the diatribe against the parents and their failures, okay, is an attempt to move past the resentments, the entrapments, the double binds, etc. So we're trying to process it, we're trying to move past it, trying to face it. It doesn't work, but that's the positive intention of repetition compulsion, so-called belated mastery. They always give the example of kids playing with things. They had some uncomfortable experience at home, then with their toys, they try to reenact it. I think it's different. I agree with Paul Libby Russell. You can have 20 lifetimes replaying the trauma with your parents, with others. It's not going to change the past. The repetition compulsion has nothing to do with any kind of pleasure principle. It's just this automatic thing that takes place. It's going to be functional, it's dysfunctional. It's not about that. The trauma doesn't think in those terms. The trauma just says, replay to get a better past. Even if the act of replaying and it doesn't work and it's painful, where's the pleasure in that? See, there's nothing to do with that. Education involves a constant unveiling of reality. I like that one. The truth will upset you free. Education involves a constant unveiling of reality. The reality, mother failed us. That's the reality. Mother failed us. The greatest hurt of all, mother failed us. Meaning she didn't give us a secure attachment style. And then we got to forgive her for that. Because she couldn't do it. So we got to forgive her. She may have been a victim of the plunder system. Oh my God, as I post this video here, February 9, 2023, a news item is, was it 12,000 people? I think it's 12,000 people are lost by a huge earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Just suddenly 12,000 people crushed. That was a very sad story. Why did I mention that? Oh yeah. So let's say the mother. Let's say a woman in her childhood had some kind of shocking experience, like today's news story in Turkey and Syria. Let's say the mother had something like that when she was a child, and she was shocked, traumatized, and lost her family and hit on them. Right? Then when she has a child, she's not there. She's just too much. She's just in too much pain. So if you realize that, you start to mourn for her as well. And there's the truth. The truth will upset you free. Education involves a constant unveiling of reality. Reality. The mothers may have had trauma, whatever form however that trauma took place, by nature or by the plunder system, by the greed of others, trying to gobble in everything. Another quote about shadow work. Yeah, owning our projections. In pop culture, it's called shadow work. Something you don't know about yourself. It's like it's in that bag. You don't see it. It's in your non-reporting brain. It's projected outwardly, so you want to see that it's within. And that's right. So projecting the shadow. A scapegoat temporarily relieves, and he's talking about these troubled teenagers, another one. Okay, but it's in general. Projecting the shadow. A scapegoat temporarily relieves an adolescent of the emotional burden of bearing those traits that he finds reprehensible in himself, be it emotional vulnerability, feeling like a fool, whatever it is. He searches for another, a victim, who will hold these projections, and then he will blame that person for expressing the very emotions and behaviors that he cannot face in himself. Prejudice is firmly rooted in this dynamic. So the thing you're saying about the non-threatening substitute other, that's a mirror to see us within. But projecting onto another, it gives you a momentary feeling of not feeling your emotional burden that is within and distracts you. But healing is you're accepting what's within. Okay, another one about we went a couple of videos ago. We had one quote about the trickster. Here's another one here. So this energy so this projection, getting us to see what's within by getting us to attribute it to others, that's like a trickster kind of energy. So sometimes it's helpful, but this phenomena within, this kind of mysterious force within that's trying to make us conscious. Maybe if we can personify that energy, it's the trickster character. Bear Rabbit or Hermes, or one of these characters. Hermes is a trickster whose cap of invisibility and winged sandals allow him mercurially quickly maneuver through the world, carrying the messages from your unconscious to yourself. So this character, Hermes, is the messenger of what's in here to you, from your unconscious to your consciousness. This if we were to make up a metaphysical imagining of some kind of character, that's a messenger character of the message from here to here. So we can give him a name, like Mr. Hermes or something. Hermes as Quicksilver is in accord with adolescence as a time of fluctuation of identity. His point was in adolescence, from teenager to man, there's this change of identity. There's a lot going on in this adolescent turmoil thing. So maybe it's a lot of this energy, maybe Hermes is trying to communicate to us, you're going to grow up now, you're going to be on your own now. So maybe something like that. Romantic love, sometimes called obsessive love. Okay, this puppy love, this falling in love, being in love, is characterized by intense energy, focused courtship attention, craving for emotional union, emotional dependency, mood swings, intense motivation to win this quote preferred partner. A striking characteristic of romantic love is obsessive thinking about this beloved. This intrusive thinking is most likely associated with a low level of serotonin. Interesting idea. So the baby doesn't get the wiring for serotonin. So they fall in love with someone else, thinking they're going to get the love they needed in the past to get the wiring for serotonin. Now, when they lose the unrequited love, they had that hope for it. Because they can't more losses, they don't have the safety of the serotonin from within themselves. to experience another loss is going to be stressful. So out of that stress, they don't have the foundation to stand on. They have a lot of stress. They're obsessively thinking, are they going to come back someday, somehow? Probably they'll wait at the curb at the corner. What a fool believes, someday, sometime, she'll be back. Oh, no, she's not gone. So obsessive. Where are they? Did I say something wrong? Oh, maybe if I do this, they'll come back. So there's this obsessive quality about it because they don't have the serotonin. The serotonin comes from differentiation. Okay? These manic defenses, because they don't get the natural serotonin. So they distract themselves with manic excitement constantly because they don't have the serotonin. The serotonin, again, is the chemistry of safety. When a person feels safe. If the baby feels safe by the interaction with the mother, the wiring gets laid down, he has like a steady, even normal level of serotonin of having been loved. The love that he needs for him to be himself, to have his body, to have his identity. So there's like a natural serotonin there, right? Like a natural amount of moisture in the person, or whatever it is. There's a normal level. But when trauma takes place, they don't have the serotonin. Then they fall in love. There's a great excitement. Okay, this person is going to give me my serotonin. Not only, they're not going to give you serotonin, they're going to give you the wiring, the experience, so that you can have your own serotonin. Doesn't work. So when they leave, you obsessively you obsess about them because you're still trying to connect them. You're still trying to maintain the connection with them. You're still trying to trick yourself. They'll come back. It's obsessive love. If I write a letter, will they come back? If I do this, those kinds of things. But if they had their identity, that obsession wouldn't be there. They would mourn the loss, so that's sad. But they have their identity to do so. But romantic love, it's infantile. They don't have themselves, right? Romantic love is infantile love. It's dependency love. It's transference love. Romantic love is transference love. You're transferring the past into the present because you don't have to, because of the unfinished business. Yeah, part of the unfinished business was the person as a baby didn't get the wiring with the mother that allows for the serotonin. The wiring means baby, mother, together, interaction. Oh, serotonin. Now the wiring is they get a constant supply of the serotonin there. So they hope the partner can provide that needed experience at the breastfeeding, nursing time, so they can get the wiring. It's ridiculous. It's past that time. No person in the present is the breast. There are no time machines to morph. There's no morphing machine. There's no timing machine. This is all fantasy. Fantasy. In transference love, romantic love, puppy love, infatuation, etc., bedazzled, spellbound. The fantasy is cognitively you know that they're not your mother, but emotionally you're relating to them as if they are. That's the issue. The baby only has to cry and the breast comes and relieves his tension. But this isn't always the case. Mother might be absent, doing it wrong. Some persons develop a sense of security at a very early age. That's the issue, right? They lost the basic trust. They lost that basic security. Oh, let me enjoy this breeze for a minute. Hold on a sec. Let me get some of this breeze. Very popular hotel. Nice place. Yeah, I like this place. Yeah. There's the smokers section. There's our bamboo. Sometimes we do the bamboo walk there. If you're finding any of this content helpful, for the price of a decaf or a cup of tea, one can get the complete file of 1001 Windmills of the Mind. In effect, an encyclopedia of this perspective. Well over 5,000 quotes. It's probably closer to 10,000 quotes actually. I'm just saying 5,000. www.buymeacoffee.com/psychoanalysis. It's written as one word, buy me a coffee. Buy me. 4 words, you need the a there. Yeah. But it's a great deal. Only a handful of people on the planet so far have a copy of 1001 Windmills of the Mind. Those lucky people. So it's available. I think we have one more here. This next quote, sort of, I don't want to talk too much about the outer situation, but sometimes the outer situation can teach us about the inner situation. So I thought, as an experiment, let's see if this works here. Oh yeah. Somebody was talking about the plunder system. I thought, okay, well, and the way he described the plunder system, it kind of reminded me of, maybe we can use this to appreciate the inner world. So here it is here. These transactions occurred in the shadow banking system. Okay, the unconscious, shadow, right? Shadow, it's the unconscious. Shadow banking, shadow activity, right? So whatever it's called in the outer world, right? The shadow banking system, or some people call it the deep state or something. Well, there's a deep shadow in there. We have an unconscious. There's a shadow. I don't want to call it banking system. In the unconscious, there's a lot going on. There's unconscious motivation. And it's got a mind of its own, and it functions independently. Yeah. Away from scrutiny, meaning from our unconscious ego. So in the outer world, the shadow banking system, away from a scrutiny by people, by others, well, the unconscious memories getting us to replay what happened in the nursery, and we're not conscious of it. So our conscious ego, we want to have scrutiny by our conscious ego, but sometimes the unconscious makes us do things and we're not aware of it. Just like in the outer world, the plunders, the short sellers, let's call it insider trading short sellers, others are not aware of it. Just like the unconscious is like a puppet master getting us to do things, but we're not aware of what the puppet master is making us do. The puppet master is making us act like we're still in the past and we're not aware of it. We think we're in the present. No, you're in the past. And we're closely managed independent silos, distinct department, so distinct independent silos. Distinct departments. So again, compartmentalization. Feelings around an event are put in one box, in one silo. Knowledge of the event puts it in another silo, and they're separate. They're distinct silos, distinct departments within the same person. And they don't communicate to each other. That's compartmentalization. So I thought this quote, oddly enough, partially resembles this unconscious conscious area. How in the practical outer world, Is that it? Okay, the thing I was mentioning at the beginning of the video. Okay, maybe it's not so bad. So the plunder system had sort of the leaders of it, right? Two of the key leader, two of the sort of symbolic or truly or whatever, real or symbolic or both, half symbolic, half real, whatever it is. Two of the key leaders of the short sellers passed away last year. We all know that, right? So I'm posting this video in the year 22-23. So a year ago in 2022, right? The husband and wife team passed away in their late 90s, and I'm thinking, if a lot of people don't have the ability to accept loss, to mourn loss, that means they're in denial. So when there's a loss, if we don't have the psychic structure to mourn, we deny it. So a lot of people might be in denial. They may consciously say, yeah, okay, I get it. But maybe emotionally they're in denial. Now, in general, when we're in denial of a loss, it's in a silo there or whatever it is, or there's emotionality that's repressed. Okay? As a defense against complicated grief, as a defense against the pain around needing to mourn but we can't mourn, as a defense against that, there's the manic defense. Hypomania, hypoactivity, create some distracting things out there. So a lot of news items are about all this tension going on. Somebody said the clocks were getting closer and closer to, maybe a part of it is a factor involved. How do I say this? Maybe some of this intensity that we see out there. Okay, we mentioned security, right? So there's a film, not a very famous, not a well-known movie called Insecurity, written as two words, as in, what line are you in? Like, line of work are you in? Somebody might say, well, I'm in retail. Oh, well, I'm in education or something. Somebody might, well, I'm in security, the security business. It was a small little indie movie. It wasn't very good, but by chance I saw it a long time ago and I remember it. It's about a small town. Everything was peaceful, and two guys ran like a home security. They sold home security alarm bell systems, but they weren't getting any business, and they were afraid to go out of business or something. So they panicked. So at nighttime they would wear their thievery hoods and rob homes at night. The next morning, those people that they robbed would enter into their shop, say to the guys who just robbed them the night before, hey, can you help us? We want to buy one of your alarm systems. Oh, of course, we'll be very delighted to. We'll help. We'll give you the best system. And sure. And it worked. Right? And they were laughing because they took their stuff, they got the business, and they did it again and again. And the whole town was in a panic, and they all flocked and they all lined up. Oh, sell us one of your alarm systems. And oh, yes, of course. At night, they would rob another person. That person would come in, and so on and so forth. You see? So what line are you in? Well, in security. So they were creating. They had a need to be needed. They were creating a demand for their product, right? Wait a minute. I lost my train of thought here. Hold on a second. So these guys, let's say, can be proxies. They can create excitement or painful drama outside to distract people from the inability to mourn the loss of the the parental heads of the plunder system. I think everyone knows who I'm talking about, right? They're cousins, aren't they cousins or something? I didn't know this, but I just saw it today. That's part of the reason I mentioned. I saw this little thing there about them being, they were cousins. Did you know that? They were cousins? Oh my God. No wonder the guy said those awful things. The man of that duo, he said a horrific thing. I can't repeat it. He says some really disturbing things. Maybe he's enraged at it. Okay, let's not dwell on that too much. But anyways, my point is, people in the plunder system experience themselves a loss. Put it that way. They themselves experienced a loss. Okay? And a lot of people who many times a day see the image of the wife of that duo, right? On the coin or on the bills or whatever. On the back of every bill in Canada, on the back of every bill, I think it is, on every coin, you see an image of the wife of the duo, right? Of the plunder system. So people grew up constantly reminded of their presence or something. Now they're gone, right? Did people really mourn it? I don't think so. I think they're in denial. They're in shock denial. They're putting up a tough front. Oh yeah, okay, move on. You see? I heard in Australia they don't even want to acknowledge. They don't even officially acknowledge it with the bills or something. Okay, my point is, Jesus Christ. There's a thing called, when we can't mourn, when we're in denial, we go into denial because we can't mourn. Oh, got somebody here. Hold on a second. Let's let these people pass here. Still there? Okay. Sometimes people are just checking out they want to book this venue, so people come check it out in preparation for their party or whatever it is. It looks like one of them maybe. Or maybe not, I don't know. Maybe I'm saying something too controversial. Who's saying this kind of thing here? What's he talking about? Check it out here. It's the red sports car, right? At midlife, the guy got divorced, he buys a red sports car. That's a manic, exciting, adrenaline-provoking. In Route 66, the woman had a loss. She got on a moped, on a motorcycle, and she was zooming around the highway. She was zooming faster and faster. Her friend said, what's going on here? Well, I don't want my grief to catch up with me. I want this revving. I want to roll me away. She's playing Bob Seger's song, Roll Me Away in the background. You know, she just wants to get away. She quote, I don't want my grief to catch up with me. So she does something manic, like gets on a motorbike, like the red sports car thing. It's to distract us from the pain that we can't feel the pain of the loss. Okay? Now, if, how many people is it? I don't know. Australia, New Zealand, Canada. I haven't done the math, but let's say there's like let's say there's 500 million people. Is that right? 500 million people. Whatever the figure is, let me just temporarily go with 500 million people. A billion, sorry, did I say million? Billion. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know, whatever it is. So let's just say hundreds of millions of people. I don't know, whatever it is. Imagine that for hundreds of millions of people. What kind of exciting adrenaline activity can take place to distract them from the pain of not being able to really feel and process a major loss. Like the guy at divorce who buys the red sports car. What do 500 million, or whatever it is, people do? I don't know, right? Maybe they call those guys in that movie Insecurity and okay, do your thing or something. Create lots of excitement outside. Move the clock there, the famous clock every year, the clock, the fear clock or whatever it is. Move it closer, make us more excited, make us more adrenaline. Make the world into a proxy for our feelings. Remember projective identification, get others to feel what we can't feel. Let's make the world afraid and scared and excited and worried, and let's have lots of dramatic excitement out there. It'll be like we're riding that red sports car. Let's get others to ride that sports car. Let's let others be manic, and we sit back and maybe, okay, we expressed, now okay, we can accept the loss. Maybe some time has passed, and then, okay, we don't need the motorcycle anymore, kind of thing. So maybe that's sort of a scary idea, because it's a very risky idea, because the guy in the motorcycle, he can have an accident, right? So it's a very scary thing there. But maybe some of this extra excitement that we're seeing is connected to the inability to mourn of all those people linked in to the 10 times a day reminder of their leader or whatever, or leaders, right? I didn't even know her last name. I just looked at, I typed it in Google. What's her last name? Oh, she's got a last name. I didn't know that. So Miss, okay. So in summary, just as a person can do something manic, like the red sports, like the motorbike thing, collectively, hundreds of millions of people, they all want to ride sports cars, but maybe they can't. So the roads are limited. You can't have tens of millions of people buzzing around on their sports cars, and it's not exciting enough to see it. It's a collective, complicated grief. So maybe, they hire the proxies, create lots of excitement, create lots of conflict outside, talk this disaster and this disaster, make everything so, and distract us from the pain of the loss. Just keep distracting us from the pain, because we don't want to feel the pain of the loss. So just distract, and maybe the hope is that eventually, okay, we'll sort of accept it, kind of thing. So just like the motorcycle guy, okay, I think I got through that period. So maybe we're sort of going through that now in 2023. I don't know, because it's a question mark. See, normally when there's a loss, you say, there is a loss. Robert Bly, he said to the men, come on men, say it. Quote, repeat after me. I experienced the loss. I experienced the loss, and they were all sobbing. So we have to accept that there was a loss, that we missed something. There was a loss, and so we need that. So Robert Bly is the caring witness, the safe presence of the auditorium. They all had a positive transference onto him, so they felt safe with him. And he said to the guys, more in effect, I'm paraphrasing a bit, come on guys, repeat after me. So think about the loss. Okay, now say it. I experienced the loss. And already men were sobbing and wailing. So he was the grief poet, right? Lots of his poems are about grief. So he was helping men to grieve. Accept the loss. Admit that it was a loss. Just say the words. I experienced the loss. That was his message. That's sort of the main idea. I experienced the loss. Admit it. Because when there's a loss, people deny it. They just say, oh no. They act like nothing happened. They act like nothing happened. in the sitcom Help Me Help You, starring Ted Danson. His wife was leaving him, and his daughter told, you know, your wife has a new boyfriend. Oh, okay, no problem. I've got a new date. So he just kind of like acts like nothing happened. You could see him say, oh yeah, there's not, he was a little upset, but he quickly squelched it and said, oh yeah, well, it's nothing, because I have a date with a yoga teacher or a fitness instructor. What did he say? Jesus. And a lot of quotes about grief, a major thread. So we can add this point here to our thread on complicated grief, maybe. Is that a lot of losses, unnecessary losses, can take place. So we had that quote about the guy who got divorced. He quit his job. He sold his house at a loss or something, because he just moved to Puerto Rico or wherever he went. I don't know. He just wanted to get away from it all. Doesn't want to be reminded of the loss. You see, when there's a loss, things are going to remind you of the loss. That's triggering. But you can't feel that. So you want to remove the source of being triggered. So you give up everything and move to some other far off place so you're not triggered. So it cost a lot. He lost his job, he lost all of his life savings, his home or whatever, all the things that he had. He lost it all, right? His friends, he gave up the whole life he built to not deal with the pain of accepting the loss, and he didn't want to be reminded of the loss. It was a huge expense. He went to this huge expense just to not be reminded of the loss, you see? So that was like one point about it. So complicated grief. Again, the psychic structure needed, the psychological inner model needed to more losses is differentiation, separation from the mother. How does the child separate from the mother? He can only separate from the mother if he receives enough love from her. Then he feels safe enough to separate from her. Yeah? If that doesn't take place, he can't mourn, you see? Now, while he didn't differentiate, he's using the splitting mechanism. The splitting mechanism is what's going on. That doesn't allow differentiation. So we want to resolve splitting. Bring the two sides, to see the two sides of a situation. Forgive the parents, see their story. It's like, okay, they couldn't do it all, they didn't know it all, they did what they could. They were traumatized by some disaster. You know? So see your psychologist, be a psychological detective. That moves towards the forgiveness process. Forgive your parents, heal yourself. As you see the two sides of the parents, the truth will set you free. Education involves a constant unveiling of reality. So educate ourselves to unveil the reality, to get the reality. Okay? Okay. Then as we do that, then we can differentiate. So in order to mourn a loss, one has to inwardly, personally, for each person, be a psychological detective for their parents. Create a psychological profile for your parents. What was your mother's favorite joke? Use that as a clue to her character. What was your father's favorite joke? If you don't know, call him, ask him, hey, Pop, what's your favorite joke? What comes to mind? What joke do you like a lot? You too, Mom, and so on, right? Maybe the grandparents, if you can ask the grandparents. In the last video, we did one from a shrink. He told us his favorite joke, and I tried to analyze the shrink. I'm not a shrink, by the way. Huh? But I tried to analyze myself based on my favorite joke. What's 5Q plus 5Q? Somebody says 10Q, and I say, oh, you're welcome. So there's a feeling of looking for love and wanting love. Another one I like is we can all live like nomads, where I nomad at you and you nomad at me. So that's an issue around sadness, around anger, maybe. The link between sadness and anger. Yeah. But we did a favorite joke by. He didn't say it was his favorite joke, but one joke he likes to tell is Stern. Herbert Stern told his he wanted to make his shrink. He was nervous with his shrink, so he wanted to make the shrink laugh. So he was telling him all these jokes. It didn't work, but one joke got through. He said, "Quote." Let's see if I can read it verbatim here. If I paraphrase, I might miss it here. Let's see. Hold on a second. The last video was good. Oh yeah, we did the joke about the Kansas. The monkey joke was good, yeah. Where's Oh yeah, here it is here. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Okay, here's a pretty good joke. Yet I still recall one joke that I told my analyst that did make him laugh. It was this. Quote, a beggar approached a dignified and elegant gentleman and asked, "Mister, would you please give me a quarter for a cup of coffee?" The gentleman responded haughtily, "I gave you a quarter just an hour ago." To which the beggar responded, "Mister, stop living in the past." Because the therapist is always dealing with this issue of people living in the past. So he told a joke about it. And plus the client himself is living in the past, because in the past he learned to tell jokes to squelch his anxiety, and he's feeling anxiety in the present, so that was his joke there. The one by Thompson about this, yesterday was the guy said, okay, hold on. This other one isn't so great, but it was okay. The apes one, yeah, hold on a sec. Uh-oh. Okay. A little girl came home from school after an early lesson in the evolution of humans. She asked her mother, quote, "Mommy, do we come from apes?" The mother paused and said, quote, "Well, in a sense, we arose from monkeys and apes." The little girl asked, quote, "Well, where do monkeys come from?" The mother thought for a moment and replied, "The Kansas State Board of Education." See, he said he liked this joke. I think it was in reference to his wanting to one-up his department there. So this guy, Thompson, was a professor at a university, and he's talking about the psychology of religion. So in the last video, we added a very good quote, a 4-part quote on the psychoanalysis of religion by Thompson here. And I imagine, I got the impression that he gets a lot of slack from his department, but they tolerate him because he's a forensic shrink, so he's valuable and all that. So maybe he likes the joke because his department gives him a hard time. Well, you're all just monkeys, I'm above you, kind of thing. So maybe that joke was a proxy for how he felt. A person's favorite joke is the key to that person's character. So back to our parents. So think about your mother and father. What were their favorite jokes? So get us like ask them, what were your earliest memories? You are what you remember. You are what you remember. So ask your father and your mother, what's your earliest memory? Your second and your third. Get 3 of them, I think. Maybe it's enough. One book says get 5. What's his name? Oh yeah, Patrick Estrade. I think he says get 3. Another guy says get 5. And then maybe the birth order, Adler has this birth order thing. Oh yeah, Adler's the guy who also said you can learn about yourself by your earliest memories. He also said you can learn about yourself through your birth order. This one about the joke. And did Mark Twain said something like that? You know more about a person in a few minutes of play than you can in several hours of formal interaction or something. So yeah, so what kind of play did your parents like? So get to know your parents, understand your parents. Were they transferring? Did they transfer? What might they be repeating? What was their relationship like with their parents? Did either parent identify with their parents? Did they find their unique selves? Those kinds of things. Yeah, today I saw a quote. Somebody asked, your childhood memories, are they a support or a fear, or is it more fear-based? Is it more love-based or fear-based, your earliest memories? The memories of the memories of your mother, are those memories a source of love or a source of fear? Something like that. Yeah, I feel okay, and I feel okay with what I said earlier. I don't think I was being disrespectful or something. We're trying to understand. See, therapy is about trying to understand. So it's a little messy. Communication is messy, right? Life is messy, right? In that show, Help Me Help You, starring Ted Danson, the very first thing he said was, life is messy. The very first sentence. So communication is messy. Making I statements are messy. But I have a hunch that there may be something to it. A lot of this increased intention, a lot of this increased tension that we're noticing in 2023. And 1 year ago, there was a major loss. So I think there could be a connection. So to mourn, we forgive, heal the splits, recognize, subconsciousness, recognize that greed means you're still trying to get the positive maternal experience that you needed from the past. It doesn't work. Recognize that in more severe trauma, there's envy, hatred of the good. So while the person is gobbling in the attempt to get in the good, they still hate goodness. A part of that is they want to eliminate the source of envious feelings. So greed destroys outwardly. Then outwardly, they're not triggered of needing the goodness. It doesn't bother them to gobble in things. It bothers them to see goodness outside of them. That's envy, hatred of the good. So that means the person didn't bond with the mother. Bottle was used, nanny was there, baby was removed, put in another room, and a nurse took care. Oh my God. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know about, it'd be interesting to do a survey of people in the plunders, the short sellers, what their early time was like. Because the theory is the people who were loved don't want to, when they grow up, they become an elder. They become an elder. They serve, build, share, care, create. The things that indigenous people keep saying over and over again, you know. Erik Erikson. Right? Elders are meant to be generative. Still greedy and envy, still in battle with your mother, still trying to save your mother, still searching for paradise with the mother, still in this. Then it becomes. Then you get it. Now you get into the addiction to it. So every time you're greedy and envious, you're becoming more attached to the mother. Then you're more afraid to leave the mother. Then you're more incapable of mourning. Then you're more manic to not face the pain of being unable to mourn. Now there's a major loss in 2022. How do a lot of short sellers mourn? Well, pick up the phone. Hey, you guys, your Insecurity, in that movie Insecurity. Duval, her name was Duval, a minor actress. Was it Shelley Duval or something? Shelley Duval. If I remember correctly, the main actress was Shelley Duval. Is that right? The daughter of the other Duval. So plundering and pillaging, that's manic, because people, to avoid inner life. Okay. So the manic defenses are characterized by what's called the paranoid schizoid mode of experiencing. Splitting, idealization, devaluation, prejudices from there. Flipping things around, where you're the aggressor, then you feel like the victim, and the person you just victimized, you think they're the aggressor towards you. All this to protect your mother, to save your mother. All this to stay loyal to the mother. All this still waiting for your mother's love. So anyone with trauma, any child, any person with trauma is in a huge catch-22. Every person needs mother's love to be able to know themselves. If they don't get mother's love, they're going to be loyal and wait and stick to her and be like her, waiting. And they can't leave if they don't get it, but they need the love to leave. So they're waiting and they're not getting it. So they're in a huge catch-22. See. By the way, I think we are becoming more psychologically minded. The word of the year for the year 2022 is gaslighting. Right? Many mothers gaslight their babies. Baby says, "I have a feeling." "No, you don't. I can't deal with that. You don't have." "No, I do have the feeling." "No, you don't. I don't understand. I don't see it. I don't get it." "No, I do." "I don't." And baby says, "I don't." Squelched. That's trauma. "Mother, I have a need." "Oh, really? Oh, I don't know what to do with that." "No, I have a need." "No, you don't." "I do." "No, you don't." "I don't." Squelched. So many mothers gaslight their babies. The word of the year for 2022, gaslighting. See, that's very psychologically minded. You know, another big boost to healing is in 2015, the Disney movie Inside Out. Yeah? We saw with trauma, joy and sadness got zooped into the non-reporting brain. At the console was the amygdala. At the end of the movie, they came back. So we reunited. We got our souls back. Right? And an important footnote, I think, that's underappreciated, is that it was shame. It was the character disgust and anger that helped bring joy and sadness back to the console. Meaning, we got to feel the anger and disgust at our mothers plundering our souls. We got to feel that shame and anger about it. Then our feelings can come back. See, underappreciated. Another big boost to healing another big boost in soul repair is that in the year 2020, yeah, 3 years ago, exactly, oh my God, almost exactly 3 years ago, February, to now it's February 9. Okay, February 26, 2020, almost 3 years ago. 3 years ago minus 2 or 3 weeks. The comic Psychoanalysis was reissued. DarkHorsePublishing.com, type in psychoanalysis. They reissued, they digitized the excellent comic called Psychoanalysis. Now, it's not a comic when you first hear the word comic. Yes, they used the comic book format, but it was an education, teaching psychoanalysis. Those guys who made that comic, they were teaching psychoanalysis. You see the therapy process put into comic form. There were 12 therapy sessions. 12 therapy sessions using 3 fictional clients. They teach unconscious skill. They teach repetition compulsion, transfers, family systems therapy, the toxic masculinity guide, separation anxiety. They teach a lot. Jam-packed information, very helpful. It's the best, it's the absolute best, in my opinion, introduction to psychoanalysis, that comic. I think the next best thing, it might be this, 1001 Windmills of the Mind. As a bridge to 1001 Windmills of the Mind, maybe the Enneagram is helpful. Karen Horney's material, James F. Masterson's material. I think Thomas Ogden has been helpful. James Grotstein has been helpful. Maybe, is it Harry Guntrup was helpful. Dorothea MacArthur was helpful. Aletha Horner, I find her material helpful. Edmund Burglar, for sure. Edmund Burglar, Karen Horney, James F. Masterson. And then later on, slowly dig into Melanie Klein, William Fairbairn, and Margaret Mahler. That's the codependency literature is helpful. Melanie Beattie, right? Mainly. Liberating the Adult Within, Helen Kramer, that's a good self-help book. In 1001 Windmills of the Mind, we have a thread on quotes from very good self-help books, and we're always adding to it. Recently, we added Barry Grosskopf from his book, Understanding Your Puzzling Emotions, Hidden in Plain Sight, Understanding Our Puzzling Emotions, Forgive Your Parents, Heal Yourself. Another one we did recently was by North America's second female shrink, Josephine Jackson. Her book is called Outwitting Our Nerves. Very good self-help book, Outwitting Our Nerves. She says, don't blame your nerves. Oh, my nerves, it's a problem with my nerves. I'm having a nervous breakdown. Doctor, help me with my nerves. It's not the nerves. The nerves are just the cables. It's what you're sending down the nerves. That's the issue. The person is the issue. The nerves are just the response, the symptom. Heal the person and the nerves will be healed. Heal your emotional area, then the body will respond accordingly, right? I think I'm finally winding down here. I've been anxious all throughout this video. I'm not really sure why. How are we doing here? 2 hours? Let me just take a little breather here. Clarification gives the client a feeling of forward movement, and that it verbalizes material that the client may have felt only vaguely. I love it when someone does that for me. If I say something in a vague way and someone kind of reflects it but makes it more clear, oh my God, yeah, that's right. I feel it moves you forward. It is analogous to the pacing of a young racehorse by a more mature one. I didn't know that. The more mature racehorse doesn't overwhelm the young racehorse. Just gives them enough of support to help him move a little faster, kind of thing. So the therapist does the same thing. He clarifies what you said, then you move forward. The counselor goes far enough beyond the client's verbalizations to stimulate further thinking, but not so far that he loses the client's interest. So you don't want to give a too deep interpretation too prematurely. It can be used as a defense mechanism. It can be intellectualized. Oh, is that right? Did you say that? Oh, yeah, intellectualized. So we're looking for emotional insight. I think the next best thing to a well-timed interpretation, okay, get the knowledge, read the books, keep it intellectual, and then it'll lead to feelings later on. I think all of these quotes are like seeds, right? Intellectual seeds. And when you feel safe, some of those seeds will blossom, sprout, right? Transference can be viewed as being deficiencies, a deficiency in being. If we have our being, we don't repeat. We repeat because we lost our being. When we find our being, we stop repeating. Russell says we're looking for memory and feeling to get our being. Because we don't have memory and feeling and being, that's why we repeat. We repeat because we don't have memory, feeling, and being. When we get them, we stop repeating. I like this one here. Clients bring various means of manipulating their environments. They break promises, play dumb, forget, lie. Yeah, a whole list there. Client styles of manipulating others are a form of transference. So you say to your friend, why can't you speak directly? Well, I'm afraid you'll criticize me. Well, that's a transference. How do you know I'm going to criticize you? Well, I'm not sure. So you provide reassurance. Oh, we can play the song Under My Hat. Yeah, in the summer I played the song Under My Hat by a guy named Greg Godovitz, Under My Hat. The friend said, I'll keep it under my hat, don't worry. You can tell me what's on your mind. I'll keep it under my hat. It's safe with me. I won't embarrass you with it or something. The counselor generally tries to help clients understand and accept their feelings and see what they have been trying to accomplish with their attitudes. What's your positive intention? Testing, is he safe? So every client apparently has two questions when they seek a counselor. Number one, is he safe? Number two, does he know what he's doing? Is he competent? And is he safe? After gaining a more rational understanding, they can take their projections on the counselor back to themselves. That's called shadow work, owning your projections. Oh, counselor, you're this and you're that, and you're doing this and you're doing that. Well, how is that within you? So, for example, oh, counselor, oh, take care of me. Well, he can take care of himself now. Always wanting others to take care of you, that's ineffective living. Intellectualization, what else? Education involves a constant unveiling of reality. Yeah, like the people who have a strong connection to that famous couple, yeah? Who passed away last year, right? Well, the reality is they're not around anymore. But that's education. Oh, I deny it. Education involves a constant unveiling of reality. It's called the topic is reality testing. So you need a strong ego to accept reality. So these quotes are helping us to build the ego, strengthen the ego. Like those construction cranes here. We're building the building. We want to build our consciousness. That's a new one here about obsessive thinking related to romantic love. This intrusive thinking is most likely associated with a low level of serotonin. Because the partner was going to give you safety, right? If your partner, the one you fell in love with, suppose is your parent, they're going to give you safety. The safety you never had. So you're obsessively thinking about them because you're still trying to maintain the connection. You're still trying to master the loss of them. You're just still trying to figure out and process it. So to not be so shock triggered that you lost something that you needed. Like when you were a child, you lost what you needed. So you're not trying to feel that too much. Okay, that's about it today, yeah. I think the last video, I was strong. It was pretty good. I feel a little, this is a little, I would say my favorite one. Is there one strong quote here? I always want to have like one really good quote in every video, like one really, some videos, every quote is powerful. I go, oh wow, this is amazing. Like 2449, I thought was a bit like that. Every quote had like a real punch, like a real oomph to it, you know. These ones here are all kind of a little vaguish, right? I like this one. Okay, if somebody is kind of vague and all that, they're transferring. If they're not saying what they meaning what they say, that kind of, if they're not speaking from their identity, from their self, they're transferring. If they're not being themselves in your presence, they're transferring. That means they're triggered. They're still trying to manage the painful past. I would say, okay, that's worth it, right? That one there, I think so, yeah, that's a good one. Clarification, I think that's a good point. Okay, the obsessive one, but the low serotonin. Shadow project, oh, the scapegoating needs prejudice. The compulsion to repeat, an attempt to move past the resentments, the double binds. The baby was in a huge double bind. The baby can only turn to his mother. He can't go anywhere else. He has to go to her. If he doesn't go to her, he's not going to make it. He has to go to her, but if he goes to her, she's hurting him. What a huge double bind. How does he adapt to this? Okay, Zoop, Earth opens up, repression. Okay, paranoid, schizoid mode of experiencing. Goddess and demon thinking. Okay, the more traumatized the person is, the more they're going to see the world in either or. Makes sense, right? The more traumatized the person is, the more they're going to see the world all or nothing. Like either or, good or bad. Like that's how the baby manages things. They deny one, accept one, and they can't put it together. They can't handle ambivalence. Oh yeah, the compulsion to repeat the diatribe against the parents, an attempt to move past the resentments and the double binds. Pick up the phone, mother, you put me in a huge double bind. You know, I came to you needing to talk to you about something, and you gaslit me. I was in a huge double bind because I didn't know I can go somewhere else. I didn't know that I could have gone to someone else. I thought I could only go to you, so I went to you. And you shamed me and I needed you to hear me out. And you just told me, get over it, forget about it. So that's the double bind. So the compulsion to repeat. Maybe we recreate that scenario where we need to trust someone. We test them. Can you keep it under your hat? No. But you expect and you goad them to fail. So you choose people or goad them to be untrustworthy because you want to know that you couldn't trust your mother. So you set it up to fail because you're trying to repeat how it failed in the nursery. So although you may consciously think, hey friend, can you keep it under your hat? You know that you chose them because they can't. And you know, even if they say they can, you're going to do it in a way where it fails. Somehow it's meant to fail. If you won't leave me, I'll find somebody who will, right? Name of the song. I got some guy just staring at me there. Why doesn't he go to the smokers area? Hold on a sec. Let's take a little stretch here. Let's go up to the blue room for a minute. Oh, lights are on. Oh, it's being used. Okay, never mind. How about the other one? Oh, these rooms are being used, huh? Okay, never mind. Okay. Okay, I guess they're preparing for something. Okay, never mind. Okay, let's do the bamboo walk thing then. So what I was trying, maybe I can say it in another way. What I was trying to say before was maybe people create things to distract them from the pain of not being able to mourn. Maybe that's a good summary of it. So I'm just saying it in general. Just keep it in general terms. But let's do the bamboo thing. In other words, it makes sense. We're better off when we accept loss, right? Each person is going to be a little more realistic and better off if they can somehow face the painful truth that they're divorced, let's say, that they're gone, they married someone else or something. It's painful, right? And to face some of that, it's called another good self-help book, Constructive Wallowing by Tina Gilbertson. Right? Oh yeah, for more about dopamine and serotonin, Loretta Bruning's trilogy, Meet Your Happy Chemicals, I, Mammal, and Beyond Cynicism. Just short, little, easy to read basically almost like little mini booklets, right? Okay, good. Okay, that's good. Okay. Any final thoughts here? About 20 minutes left here. So let's try that again. Let me see if I can update that one. Let's say a family experienced a loss. And everybody in the family is feeling, upset about it or something. Maybe the family does some manic thing. Maybe they, okay, everyone, let's go on this. What would they do? Let's take a course on. Log home building. We're going to build a log home. We're going to go to the wilderness, and first we'll take the course on how to build a log home, and then we'll go to the wilderness and build a log home. So that's like a positive, constructive sublimation of their anxiety, right? To maybe build a log home in the wilderness, or let's have a garden. So use that energy to build something, like something constructive, right? But some people might just not have that clarity of thought, and it's more anxious. Oh, let's get in there, let's rev the motorcycle, like this red sports car. Or in the example today, do more plundering or something, and all the pain around that. That's the most dysfunctional way. So a functional defense mechanism. In the book, they always call it the healthiest defense mechanism. The healthiest defense mechanism, they say, is sublimation. So that family who experienced some kind of tragedy in the family, and they say, okay, we're going to go build a log home. We're going to buy an acre of land and grow our own vegetables. So we'll get deep into gardening, and we're going to just every day, till the soil and add some nutrients to the soil, fix the soil. In many places, the soil is so damaged. Oh my God! So you gotta buy some mushrooms or something, get some seaweed, whatever it is. I don't know. Somebody said, I heard one guy told me it took him 7 years to convert some polluted soil into functional, and he got an organic garden. But it took him 7 years. So fine, the family can say, let's speed it up. Maybe we can do some other things or something. I like the log home one. Yeah, that's not bad. So what about all these? So what about everybody who has? Okay, so just apply that. So if anybody is experiencing some kind of loss, but they don't want to admit it, it's called sublimation. You channel it into some activity that's useful or helpful or non-harmful, like building the log home, right? So that's why consciousness is helpful. Because if you're not conscious, you may unconsciously, buy shares in activities that cause problems and damage, because unconsciously you want a distraction. You want to see things, you want to see others express what you can't express. Okay? So when there's loss, we feel grief, we feel scared, angry. So you get others to feel scared and angry, that kind of thing. See, that's unnecessary, you see? Why? Because the person didn't get the wiring laid down for have their identity and the serotonin related to their identity. the line wasn't met. Okay? So the baby nursing at the breast, a line is there between the nerves in the breast and the nerves in the child. There's a line there that allows that flow. Mother's reverie, the child feels seen. The child takes in mother's presence and acceptance, the mother's delight for the child. The child takes all these in. It starts to build its emotional, spiritual, inner nourishment. He's being nourished in so many ways. Nourishment is not just physical. He's being nourished in this maternally nourished or something. Maternal life force nourishment. The jargon is maternal libidinal availability. Yeah. So if we know that the line was missing, right, that line leads to self-soothing. If the mother soothes the baby, the wiring is laid down, the person can soothe themselves. Okay? That's in conjunction with the person having his identity accepted, so he has his identity. Right? So that goes together, right? So how does one mourn the loss of not getting that positive maternal experience in the nursery? That's the challenge. How do we mourn this loss? How do we mourn how we would have been had we been loved? How do we mourn that? You see, a clue is our negative behavior is a clue. So we're mourning. Where's joy and sadness is in the bag. We're mourning the loss of joy and sadness. So in the Disney movie, disgust and anger helped joy and sadness come back onto the console. So to heal complicated grief, I don't know, the best thing that I've come across is just forgive the parents. See their story, see their situation. That helps. Things make sense. And then you go, okay, things make sense. Unveiling, right? Unveiling of reality. Finding reality. It's clearing up. And this issue about the breast, the baby not being able to tell the difference between the breast and his experience at the breast, I'm very haunted, I'm very curious to say the least about it. If the baby's experience of the breast is that he feels that he hates goodness, that's his connection to the mother, hating goodness. Envy is the connection to his mother. Oh my God. You see, then that's a clue that the person has got to pick up the phone. I gotta interview you. Mother, and get the details. And now keep this in mind. Mothers know how to push your buttons because hey, they sewed them on. It's going to be triggering to confront the mother, but that's the hero's journey, to confront the mother. Ask these questions. Get as much as you can. And now she'll be in denial, she'll gaslight you, she'll pull all of her old tricks on you. But then you're being aware of what she did to you as a child. The things she's going to do to you now, now you know what she did to you as a child. Because she probably hasn't changed. Parents are usually pretty set and stubborn, right? So that's a clue, yeah. So another suggestion, well, one of the suggestions that have been made on behalf of 1001 Windmills of the Mind is that on Mother's Day and on Father's Day, that those are their days. They write letters to their adult children, coming clean about the first 3 years. What happened at the birth? the nursing, any detail, anything that can be helpful. It's their chance to offer reparation. It's their chance to help heal their children. So it's their day. It's the chance for them to do something to make things right. Right? So Mother's Day and Father's Day, they write letters to their adult children every year. Okay, last year I said this, I want to update, now I can tell you more. It'll be upsetting, but it's a huge relief. People go, oh my God, now things make sense, you know. We already celebrate our mothers and fathers on their birthdays. So Mother's and Father's Day, it's their, think of it, those are their days to do something healing for their children. Parents are there to meet the needs of the child. Now they can move in that area. They can help in the reparation area. Okay, I didn't meet your needs. I want to do what I can in the healing process. Let me tell you everything that happened, that kind of thing. And parents may need help to do it. Right? It'll be healing for them as well to do it. Now some kids might be so shocked and disturbed they may not want to talk to their parents for a while. That's possible. So my disclaimer, I'm not a shrink, I'm not a therapist. Disclaimer, 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 everything you heard, okay? I'm not a therapist. So it's up to each person to filter through what's helpful for them, what's not helpful for them. These are all speculations, brainstorming ideas. The tendency is people are going to filter out what they can't consider anyways, right? How are we doing here? 10 minutes. This is going to cut out in about 10 minutes, right? Yeah, so there's that crane we were talking about. It's just like that crane and how they're building that building. You know? So, and then when it's complete, it's going to house people. First you got to build a building so that people can be housed in it. Well, just like building the nest of consciousness. Psychoanalysis, always looking for an egg in a basket that's missing. So we want to weave this basket, this knowledge. So I don't think intellectualization is that bad. If the person never uses their knowledge to help them link up with their feelings, yeah, then it was sort of, that's a pity, right? Then that's sort of missed the point. The purpose of knowledge is to help you to feel. So these, you know, and then, okay, we talked about dreams today. Sometimes these quotes can bring up a dream. So now you're feeling, right? If you get a dream, think of it, quote, it's like this in my soul today. Right? So dreams are messages from the gods, right? From the unconscious, right? Don't you want to read a letter? If a god writes you a letter, don't you want to read it? Well, that's what dreams are. Some people use the whole unconscious. It's like a bunch of gods in there. Just an approximate metaphor. And they're right. The gods are timeless. They live in a timeless state. Everything in there is timeless. Meaning all of your memories and all that. Oh, great! You know, one thing that's unique about today is I'm so relieved the techno thumping music, they turned it off today for a change. Word of relief, huh? Once in a while, yeah, it is off, but there's no need for it to be on in the daytime. Well, I have mixed feelings about today's video. The quotes are not as strong as I'd like them to be, but I thought they're okay. Maybe I can make up with it with my commentary. Maybe I try to compensate with that dramatic idea around If things are dramatic in the world, that's maybe there's a link to the inability to admit a recent loss for many people. Put it this way, let's say there's a family, and let's say the mother loses her best friend. She comes home and creates a ruckus in the house, and everyone's all excited, and then she feels better because the family distracted her from her personal problem. Maybe something like that. Yeah. Okay, maybe we can choose a song here for today. Hold on a sec. Let's play a mellow song. Why don't we just play something mellow? What about our theme song? Let's just play our theme song here. This is our theme song to 1001, Windmills of the Mind. Catch it, Epstein's German cover.
Plötzlich still sind, wenn die Stadt auf einmal schweigt, wenn aus steinernen Kaminen stumm der Mond zum Himmel steigt, wenn es hier in meinem Zimmer leer und einsam wird mich, such ich in den dunklen Schatten die Erinnerung an dich und ich fühle wie ein Augenblick zur Ewigkeit gerinnt, wenn das Spinnrad meiner Träume links zerrissene Fäden spinnt und sich leis zu drehen beginnt, wie sich Mühlen drehen im Wind.
Windmills of the Mind. These are all windmills of the minds. 1001 windmills of the minds.
Und es kreisen die Gedanken ohne Anfang, ohne Ziel, wie die schnellen Wellenringe, wenn ein Stein ins Wasser fiel, wie ein Kreisel, den die Peitsche übers Straßenpflaster treibt, wie Spiralen, die ein Adler in den Abendhimmel schreibt. Und ich fühle, wie ein Augenblick zur Ewigkeit gerinnt, wenn das Spinnrad meiner Träume links zerrissene Fäden spinnt und sich leis zu drehen beginnt, wie sich Mühlen drehen im Wind. Tausend Fragen ohne Antwort, tausend Fragen ohne Sinn. Warum flog für uns der Sommer wie ein Pfeil so schnell dahin? Hat der Herbstwind gar die Spuren unserer Liebe schon verweht? Wenn erst weiße Flocken fallen, ist es dann für uns zu spät. Sah ich eben nicht im Dunkel deinen Schatten an der Tür, hoffte für ein paar Sekunden, du kämst doch zurück zu mir. Doch warum sich selbst belügen? Längst ist meinem Herzen klar, dass der Pulsschlag dieser Hoffnung nur mein eigener Schatten war. Und ich fühle, wie der Augenblick zur Ewigkeit gerinnt, wenn das Spinnrad meiner Träume längst zerrissene Fäden spinnt und sich leis zu drehen beginnt, sich im Kreis zu drehen beginnt, wie sich Mühlen drehen im Wind, wie sich Mühlen drehen im Wind.
so thanks very much. This has been TQ 2450. Sorry, TQ 2508 and 9. We'll be adding more quotes to our various threads. This is one video I really don't mind if there are no views. I don't really, yeah, so I'm not getting any views anyways, but in particular, I really don't mind if there are no views for this video. I don't know why. I think I made too many speaking mistakes, and I don't normally comment on something in the outer world. It's very rare to do it, but I thought, oh my God, could it be? Could that be what's going on? That there's more anxiety as a defense against some people not being able to mourn the loss of two important people in their lives. You know? And I just thought, should I mention it? Is it something? Well, okay, then, you know, if I could do this, maybe if I could do this video over, I would maybe disguise it a little more. Maybe just say it in more general terms, like we did at the end with the family. So let's say the woman. Let's try that again. Let's say the woman lost her best friend. So she experienced a loss. She comes home, and she creates chaos in the family. She doesn't cook the deal. She puts too much salt in the dish, and everybody is angry. Why'd you put so much salt? Yeah, why'd you put so much salt in it? And then she sits back and I didn't know, and she gaslights. No, there's no salt in it. What are you talking about? I didn't put any salt in there. Yes, you did. We can taste it. No, and she creates a drama and excitement and all this chaos in the family. And is she gone crazy? Is she trying to make us crazy? Is she gaslighting us? Oh my God. So maybe she's purposely creating a kind of excitement outside of her to keep her mind occupied, to not feel what's within, right? That she doesn't want to talk about the loss of her best friend, right? So she creates something outside in that way. So maybe we can just, so I wish I could sort of just say only that, leave it at that. But would people make the link? Would people apply that to, you know, what might more broadly, outwardly, that in the year 2023 there's more drama than there was in 2022, because in 2022 there was a loss, and then a year later there's more drama. Maybe that's like, you know, the woman feels the pain of losing her best friend. There's a little gap there. She comes home and it puts too much salt in makes the family upset. So maybe there's like this little phenomena taking place. There's a thing called delayed onset of grief, complicated grief. Somebody experiences a loss, they don't accept it. Finally, it kicks in and they start to feel it. So then they feel anxious by now they're feeling the effects of the loss that took place, whatever, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, even 30 years ago. The guy in the nursing home who's 80 years old starts to feel anxious. Maybe it finally kicks in. You know, I think I am sad that I lost my first girlfriend, or the love of my life, and it's kicking in now or something. And he denied it by marrying someone else he didn't like as a manic defense. Now the truth is coming up, because when we feel safe and we calm down, feelings come up. So people in the nursing home, maybe they have a rest, they feel safe, they're taken care of, then maybe feelings come up, something like that. In general, when we feel safe, feelings come up, right? When they get the answer to a joke, you feel safe compared to the first part of the joke. The first part of the joke, there's a little tension, benign violation of your expectations. Then you get the answer, the punchline, then you feel safe, and there's that little release there. Because you feel safe, you laugh, there's the release there. Same mechanism for sadness. A person feels sad, later they talk to somebody, they feel safe, then they start crying, kind of thing. And the feelings come up. Underappreciated point, that when you feel safe, feelings come up. People don't want to feel safe, so they create excitement to not feel safe, because they don't want those feelings to come up. Just like that woman in Route 66. She went on her moped and drove around. And she said to her friend, I don't want my grief to catch up with me, so I'm going faster and faster. I want to go speedy. I want to be speedier and lighter and faster. And her friend said, There's a cost to this, isn't there? Oh yeah, it's very expensive. It's very expensive. Something like that. I forgot exactly. We have it in our collection. If you type in Route 66, you'll get that quote. A very exciting thread in 1001, Windmills of the Mime, are quotes from TV shows and movies. With The Fugitive, Judd for the Defense, Route 66, a lot of Rhoda, a lot of, and you know, one or two quotes from many other shows. Richard Kimball is a fugitive from the justice he seeks. That's a good comparison for children who feel like emotional fugitives from the love they seek. Children, traumatized children, are emotional fugitives from the love they're seeking. We're running away from the thing we're searching for. You see, that phenomena, that psychic phenomena inwardly is presented in that TV series called The Fugitive, starring Richard Kimball. The original one, David Jansen, the 60s one. A very good show, right? Richard Kimball. Yeah. So children feel like guilty. It's called unconscious guilt because they couldn't save the mother. They feel guilty. They feel flawed. They feel defective. Plus, they got to hallucinate that she's all good, and he feels so bad. So it's insult to injury. He couldn't save the mother. He feels defective. He thinks he did something wrong to account for why she's good, and he feels no good. So there's unconscious guilt. But he's searching for the mother, but he's running away from her at the same time, you know. So we got some great quotes from The Fugitive. Judd for the Defense, starring Carl Betts. Very good show, Carl Betts. We have a couple from The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis, a couple, one there, Maynard Krebs, that one there. And who else? It's there. We've got others. We've got others. The jokes one is we're starting to add some new material for our thread on the psychoanalysis of jokes. Yeah. Art, we have a new thread on art, so we'll be adding more quotes to that one. Religion is a very well-developed thread. We've got a lot of great material on the psychoanalysis of religion. TQ 2118, 1203. That's a good place to start for that one is TQ 1203 on religion. And yesterday, the Thompson one, we added to it. 2118, Mel Faber's book. That's a good one. Lloyd Damas talks about it as well. The phantom placenta in the sky, the breast in the sky, all these ones. Phantom breast, phantom placenta. We're looking for the paradise still. But when you do that, you preserve splitting. You see, religion, from the plunder side, preserves splitting. Religion promotes the splitting way of thinking because that's needed for plunder. In order to short sell, you need people to think in either or terms, jungle or garden, in these kinds of terms, to evoke the splitting mechanism. That's trauma. People want to reenact it. They shame others. They plunder others to communicate that the mother plundered their soul. Okay? So in short selling, people plunder outside to reenact how the mother plundered them. Emotionally, we're talking about. Repetition compulsion. Tough material, yeah. It's quite a range, 1001 Windmills. Some very light stuff, some very easygoing, some very breezy stuff, and some of the harder material, like today. Maybe that's why I'm feeling anxious. Cut out. I think this is just going to cut out any minute now. Why don't I just hit the stop button here and yeah, ambivalence, so tolerance to ambiguity. This has been most ambiguous today. Don't watch this video. It's not very good. Watch the last one. Ironically, the last one I thought was pretty good. The last one. The one before this one. 25:06 and 7, I think it is. Is that right? Okay, any final thoughts here? Any final thoughts here? We're looking for connections, right? So in that show, Help Me Help You, in the first episode, he said, we're looking for connections. We're in therapy because of issues around connecting. If we connect, we're good. Right? Once we have connections, we calm down, right? So that was his assignment to the people. Go out and make a connection. That's your homework, right? So maybe that's something, yeah, maybe that's something for me to think about myself. Because if I felt more connected in my life, I think my delivery would be more calmer, right? Okay, this is going to cut out any second now. Still recording? Okay. I don't think I have any really strong final sentence to offer at the end here. So obsessive thinking, yeah. So I'm engaged in obsessive thinking myself right now in this moment here, right? I'm obsessively thinking. That's because if I had the safety, I would calmly conclude the video, hit the stop button, I'll see you next time. But if I'm lingering like this, that's because I'm wondering, I'm searching. So maybe that's one of our quotes today by Fisher and Thompson. Helen Fisher, yeah. Yeah, she has an interesting theory, Helen Fisher. Yeah. What's her book called again? Her first book was Why We Love, right? But she had another book that afterwards about the helpmates and the playmates and the soulmates and the thinkmates and these ones. She had this little model there based on brain chemistry, right? Well, dopamine for the chase, serotonin from the catch. So when we feel unsafe, kicks in the dopamine to go for something, which we believe when we get will make us feel safe. Then we get serotonin. So that dynamic is interesting. Dopamine for the chase, serotonin from the catch. Right? But in greed, it's just a blip. So they do it again and again and again, right? And in envy, that's the connection to the mother. So envy gives them safety, you see, because that's the connection to the mother. If the child thinks envy equals mother, that's their connection. So they get serotonin through Schadenfreude. They see things damaged, and they feel the connection to the mother. That's their pleasure. Then they get a blip of serotonin by the connection that way. You see, so it's very interesting theory. Okay. Well, this went to 310 this time, huh? I thought 303 was the limit or something. Okay, why don't I just close the video here today. So I'll see you in the next video, and whatever follow-up thoughts spring to mind after I shut this video, maybe I'll start off in the next video with them. Really? Maybe not. Yeah, why did I say that? Yeah. Oh, that's possible. Yeah, if some insights come to me after I hit the pause button here, I may begin the next video with what came to mind just now. So that's possible. So that's possible. I'll just put it that way. That's possible. I'm still searching for a kind of happy note to end on, some kind of funny thing or something to cheer the mood or something. I feel like my mood today has been, yeah, not that cheerful. Why don't I show you the water here? Maybe this camera will, the timing will at the end here. Let's see. Okay, maybe the best idea was identifying your parents' favorite jokes and use that as a key to understand your parents' issues or personalities or concerns or worries. It's the theme. It identifies the theme of their concerns and worries. At least it'll do that, right? All right, I'll see you next time. Thanks again. Yeah, if you know, all of the quotes, all of the TQ quotes are posted in this channel if you click the more link or the see more link. So one could theoretically just copy the quotes by clicking through each of the videos, or for convenience, one can get the complete file as well. And the honorable mention quotes are only in the file. They're not on YouTube here. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised this is still recording. Any final thoughts? Maybe I'm being a little... Oh yeah, so we have a self-help exercise called "What's the hardest thing about?" and then you fill in the blank. I've had this in the past. What's the hardest thing about my accepting this video? Because I feel a little uncomfortable about this video. Parts of it. So what's the hardest thing about accepting your discomfort? No, that's not it. What's the hardest thing about just leaving it be what you said? Okay, well, if I made a mistake, then so what's the hardest thing about making a mistake? You're human. Well, I care, you know. Well, you gave your disclaimer. You said you're not a shrink. Okay. So what's the hardest thing about being okay with a mediocre video? Well, because I did some good videos lately, and I didn't want to step back. Wasn't that normal? Isn't that the natural course of events? Musicians write some hit songs, and then the next album there are no hit songs, and then 2 albums later there may be a hit song, and 3 albums. Isn't that normal? The curved ups and the curve there, ups and down curves. Okay, well that makes sense. So if that doesn't make sense cognitively, but emotionally I'd like it to be more progressive. I'd like to build on my successes and have each video be a little better and better. Okay, well that sounds I can relate. whoever I'm talking, whoever my fantasy dialogue partner is, maybe they would say, well, I can relate to that. That's which is me, right? See, I was hoping I could find something funny to say at the end here. But, oh my God, 3:16. This is the longest video so far. Oh no, a year ago we had some longer videos. Yeah. Never mind the quantity, it's the quality. It's the quality that counts. Yeah, Grice's 4 points about communication. So in communication, he said, you want quality, you want relevance. So is it helpful? Is it useful? Is it on topic? Is it relevant? Now, the manner, is the tone okay? Is it friendly enough? Hopefully my manner isn't too unpleasant or something. But the fourth one was quantity. Not too long, not too short. There's a problem in my case. These videos are too long. See, another issue, I don't really have a true confidence where I am here. So I'm feeling like I would love to sit in a coffee and have a long philosophical debate with somebody or something like that. But I feel like that's kind of missing. So maybe this is like a substitute, having this imaginary audience and philosophizing with my imaginary audience. Maybe that's what's happening. So I'm doing this in lieu of having a coffee talk with somebody. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair. I would love to have a lengthy, fun, creative, spontaneous back and forth, brainstorming kind of ideas back and forth in the spirit of understanding and therapy, that way. And which is what I'm trying to sort of do in this video here by presenting these quotes. These are excellent quotes. I can't believe it, 3:17. All right, I'll just hit the stop button here. So yeah, if there are any updates or follow-ups to this video, I'll have them in the next video. If not, we'll just keep on adding some fresh material, some fresh quotes to our various threads. Again, over 52 threads, by the way. Emotional eating, that's a key one there. The body bears the burden, psychosomatic symptoms. Every major defense mechanism is a threat. Identification with the aggressor, projective identification, projection, transference, repetition, compulsion. This whole issue of symbiosis. Melanie Klein's theory about the positions, the paranoid schizoid position, and all of the manic defenses in that area, and the depressive position. And now, if two people from each of those two positions meet up, that relationship is the stinger and the clinger. So we have a thread on the relationships about the stinger and the clinger. Again, 24:35-9 about falling in love. That's a great. That's been some of the most helpful material. That one there, 24:35-9 about falling in love. We want to move from this obsessive, projective transference love to regular, abiding, two people love, right? I'm okay, you're okay, love. Not where each person is projecting exaggerated fears from the nursery of abandonment or engulfment, and the other's doing the same thing, and they become like cat and dog marriages. And it can be done. People do it. It's called making I statements. TQ 2360 by Susan Campbell on how to make an I statement. From her self-help, another self-help book, From Triggered to Tranquility. That's a pretty good book there, that one. I'm really confused why this is still recording. Nothing's changed in my phone here. Well, how to make an I statement. Yeah, how to make an I statement. Marshall Rosenberg teaches people how to make an I statement. He built an entire self-help organization just on that one point. He spent like 40 years of his life traveling the world, giving workshops, teaching one simple exercise, how to make an I statement. People have an immense amount of resistance to making an I statement. Something triggers you. It reminds you of something in childhood. Okay? In childhood, we had a need, didn't get met, and we felt something. You name those needs and you name those feelings, and you present it in the present. That's it. It's called OFNR, O-F-N-R. Observation is the trigger, feelings and needs from the childhood. The F and the N are always linked. So in general, when needs are met, we feel pleasant. When needs are unmet, we feel very unsatisfied. So you be more specific. You offer some clarification. Today we talked about clarification. So that's kind of vague, right? So you try to offer a little clarification, and then you present that to your friend in the present, and you want to make sure that they're not triggered by what you just shared, because sometimes when people make their I statements, they use it as an opportunity to blame their partner. That shouldn't happen. So you check in with them. So how do you hear what I'm saying? Now, if it's a clean I statement, the person will say, "Oh, I heard you say that this thing reminded you of the past when you had this need for connection, trust, didn't get met, and you felt scared and angry. And that's what's coming up. Did I get it? Thanks. I feel heard. That's awesome. That's a real relief to have right? And or the person says, well, when you made your I statement, I was triggered. Then he makes an I statement. Okay. So OFNR, observation. I heard your I statement. It reminded me when I was a child, I wanted to express myself. I had that need to be heard. It didn't get met, and I felt angry. So when you expressed yourself, it reminded me of how I didn't get a chance to express myself, and that's what's coming up. And he feels some relief by that, and he may have a request around that. How do you hear me? How do you hear what I'm saying? Okay, so I heard. That upon hearing my I statement, you were reminded that when you were young, you wanted to be heard, and when that didn't get met, you felt angry by it. And that's some of those feelings have arisen, prompted by my I statement. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I appreciate hearing that. It's the first time I've ever said this. So we make I statements. This is in his book, Marshall Rosenberg, called Language of Life, or NVC. Yeah, it's all on YouTube. His lectures are on YouTube. Lots of long lectures, but it's good. He elaborates things and slows it down, but the basic idea is there. I think Susan Campbell's version of an I statement is very helpful. She calls it the unilateral repair statement. And that's presented in TQ 2360. And we base it on the acronym OFSEA-IF. O-F-S-E-A-IF. So I don't think we have time to do it here. So for more on how to make an I statement, check out OFSEA-IF 2360. All right, I'll hit the stop button here for today, and I'll see you next time.